Good evening, TNT family. Welcome back to the Yellows, the Code program on UNC USA. I have with me here Mr. Suman Singh, our lead technical analyst, and we'll have our other partners joining us later on during the program. I want to welcome you back to the program. Hope you guys had a good Christmas and enjoy yourself. And we are back to the drawing board, taking on the issues in TNT. So, Mr. Singh, I want to welcome you back to UNC USA Yellows, the Code program. And I would like to hear your views on some things. And Mr. Singh, I saw they calling our Prime Minister the Iron Lady of the Caribbean, and I'd like to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
your input on that part of the topic, and then we will take it there.
Okay, yes, I saw that as well. The Iron Lady of TNT, but more so it should really be the Iron Lady of the Caribbean. You're right. Good night to all the fans and followers and so on listening. I'd like to just elaborate a little bit more on that headline, the Iron Lady of the Caribbean. It's been dubbed the greatest political comeback in TNT history. Now, I don't know if you know, Gary, over the years, the 10 years when she was leader of the opposition, a lot of people were calling for her head. Or Kamala must go. She's the weakling. The leadership is in tatters. They need new blood. All the naysayers. And I wonder where all of them are now. I really do wonder where are all of these people who have been calling for her heads? Where are they now? She has taken up the mantle. She has rebranded herself Kamala 2.0. No more of the nice anti-Kamala as in the previous incarnation from 2010 to 2015, but a more understandable and a more caring, as well as a more confident. And this is the word I really want to see. She's more confident now in her leadership style and making the correct decision, in my view. You know, I don't know if you recall, just a few months ago, there was a lot of brouhaha about CPEP and URP and all these, reforestation program and what have you. And when she was able to show that there was so much bubble and skullduggery happening in the CPEP and URP with null and void contracts and ministers and the affiliates getting huge, sums of money way up to 2029 on contracts that were not signed, and some even signed the day after the election. When she pulled up on these people, the press, one, hounded her. Her political opponents hounded her. Oh, you're taking food off, the black people on the street. That was the comment. Why are you discriminating? And when she was able to show, why she did what she did and have evidence to show that how many ghost scams and so on operated under the banner of the PNM, all of a sudden, don't hear a word of that anymore. Similarly, other things has happened, and she has taken a decisive, in fact, a very decisive, decisions going forward. Most recently, there is one on the motor vehicles. The penalties have been doubled. And there's a lot of uproar. In fact, even the leader of the opposition has been complaining about, why the UNC had to double the fines. But I don't seem to understand this, Gary. For obeying the laws of the land, as in any other country, once you obey the laws of the land, there's no penalties associated to it. When you break the laws of the land, then you're penalized. So whether the fines are doubled, tripled, or quadrupled, it makes no difference. You leader of opposition and some naysayers are saying that you're punishing poor people. You're taxing poor people. How do you mean you're taxing poor people? What happens when you don't break the law? Who is being taxed when you don't break when you abide by the law? So this is only for those who intend. Listen, you have intent of breaking the law, then you should be punished as in any given society. What's wrong with that? So these naysayers keep on harping about, why is she doubling the fines and this and that. Hey, you don't pay any fine if you don't break the law. So I can't seem to understand the thinking, well, of certain elements of the society, more so the criminal elements, or those who intend to break the law. They're the ones who are kicking up against us, and to some extent the press, and the PNM, and the party affiliates, and those who are with that, narco criminal element of society. They're the ones who are complaining. Why would any law-abiding citizen complain that we are taxing the country into poverty? That's all a pack of BS, which the press is trying to brand the current administration as taxing people into poverty. How can we tax the people into poverty if the people decides to break the law? In fact, I think they should even go as far as tripling or quadrupling these penalties. Because if you're a law-abiding citizen, you have nothing to fear. You have nothing to
Uh,
fear.
that's a good point, Sumant. Very good point. You
Yeah,
know,
so why should it be fearful? It should be as high as, $30,000, $40,000, if you know it. So, I mean, I've been driving the roads in TNT recently, and I can tell you she's damn right with what she's doing. There's so much aggression in the driving of people. They overtaking on the left side, on the shoulder, on the right side. They're looking at you if you are the culprit, when you're obeying the law. So I would say let the law take its course. And I really like to see that that's where the behavior starts. That's where that bad behavior starts in the roads, where people cutting on and look at you like, hey, do something, do me something, and they more vex than you and they're the ones who are breaking the law. They should be
so
severely punished. That's how we get structure back into society and discipline as well. So
yeah,
I thoroughly agree with the Honorable Prime Minister. She's doing the correct thing. I
and I,
think,
and I and I second that, Sumant.
yeah, not only that, Ken, if you look at the fines in some of the other developing, I should say, not developed countries. I know if you've been to London recently, where they started to charge you £40 to enter the city limits,
Correct? Yeah, yeah.
and these sort of things. Not to mention first world countries like in Singapore and so on, where the fines are phenomenal, up to $30,000. Why? That should be
You
our thing.
see,
We see we want to achieve first world status, but we are not willing to pay the price of it. You want first class, first world healthcare, but you don't willing to pay the price of it. So
Sumant,
these
may I
things,
say one thing?
sure,
Is this designed to punish law-abiding, productive
absolutely,
members of society?
absolutely not,
Right.
absolutely
So
not.
that's the point, right? If you're going to break the law, and let's draw a line in the sand,
Yes,
there are law-abiding citizens, and there are
nothing
those
to
who are
fear.
lawless. They have no regard for the rule of law, right?
Yes,
And they have to learn the hard way. Because you
correct.
know what? And I'll give you an example. You just mentioned something there with a guy, people driving all over the place. They're crazy. I was driving, heading down south in the Uriah Butler Highway, and the traffic was it was moderate,
Yeah.
and a guy passed on the shoulder
Hmm.
about 100 plus kilometers on the shoulder. I talk about where you would pull aside to fix your vehicle if you had a flat tire and stuff like
Correct.
that.
Correct.
If there was
Yes.
someone riding a bicycle or somebody walking or somebody broke down with their
Drop off
vehicle
of
and
a
stuff.
taxi or something, yeah.
Yeah. And people have a tendency to do this. This is like a norm. And
Yes.
you know what? You're risking the others. You're risking the others who are abiding by the law, abiding by the rules and regulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to take some stringent measures here. And that is not stringent. I would support you when you mentioned that's supposed to be quadrupled. I mean, the
Correct.
prime minister is very lenient
I
to
think
double
so.
it. Me,
I think
I would
so.
have quadrupled that. You know what?
Exactly the point.
Because
Exactly the point.
serious, we're not dealing with product again. We're not dealing with law-abiding, productive members of society here. They're reckless, they're lawless, and they will have to pay the price. You want to drive on shoulder, no problem. When the police pull you over, whatever the ticket is, 10,000, 15,000. If you can't afford it, we take your vehicle. Because you know what? You should know better, right? And
Yes.
if you continue if you repeat offenders, you have to learn the hard way, right?
Correct.
Again, if we
Absolutely.
want to put some structure, some kind of improve the quality of life in Trinidad and Tobago, we have to put measures in place to do that. We just can't talk about it and joke about it, right? Like the PNM did for the last 10 years. They didn't care. They left our border open for us. Anything was moving in and out, guns, human trafficking, you name it, drugs, right? And the country deteriorated to a point where people are, I mean, it's sad to say we have to use the term lawless citizens, right? Look
Yes.
at where we have reached under that last 10 years of that PNM government, right?
Well,
And thank
you
God
did.
the UNC came and they won by a landslide majority there, right? Because every sane law-abiding thinking person would say, hey, you know what? This is craziness here. 624 homicides last year, right? I mean, the year isn't done. That's last year, 2024, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 years prior to that, 605, right? These are astounding numbers. We've never seen anything like this. So again, lawlessness, that is the right word. And
And
the
that
prime
is
minister
where it
used the word a
starts,
lawless
right?
dump, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The place was becoming a dump,
A total dump. No form of law
right?
and behavior and so on. And you notice in the driving, that's where the lawlessness starts, because that is carried forward now. When these same people go into offices and so on, they behave in such a loud and aggressive tone. If you go into some of these offices, that God, you think that they come off the street. No respect for authority. That's the way it all belongs. And
Obey the
lawlessness,
law.
simple,
Obey the law and you don't have a problem,
nothing
right?
to be
If you're out
fearful
there
of.
to break the law, if you want to commit a home invasion, you want to
Yes,
rob someone on the street, you want to drive on his shoulder, you want to drive a vehicle that's not safe for
yes.
yourself and for others, who are using the roads and stuff, then you have to pay the price,
Because
right?
I don't mind somebody driving a defective vehicle and they damage themselves. That's your fault. But when you
Right.
damage innocent people, bystanders, or people who are obeying the law, driving within the speed limits and so on, and because of your stupid
Well,
way
well,
of
Saman, let
driving,
me let me just add something to that. Certainly, Jack. You're driving a vehicle that's not inspected. The brakes is
hmm
not working. The brakes is
hmm
malfunctioning.
no lights in the
The
back.
the the, the indicator light, one of it is blown, and so forth. Right? People don't know if you're making a right turn. You're driving around with smooth tires. Right?
hmm
And you want to lose control of that vehicle, and you hit a 2 or 3 other vehicles. Right? And
Yeah,
and and, and let's say in that accident, 2 or 3 people dies, right? What's going to happen? What are you going to say? Well, I'm
and
sorry, I don't have the money to inspect the vehicle or change my tires or whatever it is.
yeah, and not only that, Ken, some of these laws have to be revisited. And I'm saying that my contention all along is that legislation is what it is. Legislation just simply means to clarify a situation or clarify some ambiguity, but it has to go further if you want it to become effective. For
That's
example,
correct.
for example, I mean, I don't want to knock anybody, but the senator was there last week, and I made a statement. I didn't mean it to be like I told him that it was weak, but it was weak for the reason that are we going to achieve the outcome? And it's a simple answer is no, because FUL had to be part of it as well. That's
Correct.
had to go
Correct.
hand in hand with night courts, and these people. persons who are accused of the crime should not be clogging up the system. We should be dealing with them within a month and get that out of the way. So people can see that they are serious. People have to know that this government is serious and is doing what it says it's going to do. Bring back a lawful, citizenry who are there for the benefit all. They're there for the benefit of all, people-centered government, and the
Yeah.
Honorable Prime Minister
Yeah.
is exhibiting those qualities.
Yeah, I know,
It's
Sama, just to interject here. I know what you meant, but I guess you
But
really didn't
Suman made
clarify.
he referred to the wrong context because remember the government doing things in phases. So
Yeah, yeah.
the what was done there was just part of the plan of action.
Part of the whole. It's part
It
of the
has
whole.
to be complemented with the other things like the fuel
right.
and
Yeah.
everything there.
And that is
Uh,
what I meant to say, really,
Yeah,
Gary.
yeah.
You're right. That is
so
what I'm saying.
saying the law is weak is an incorrect statement, Superman, because what
But
you're saying is
no,
should say it needs the additional thing
yes,
because they did a
but
very good
that's
job with the legislative part of
to
that section
explain.
of things.
To explain what the old common law. It went further to explain how it's different from the old common law, which
Well, it's sure to hit me for the next 5 years.
anyway.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. To bring back sanity in this society, that discipline has to start somewhere, from the schools to the driving, to the aggressive nature of people and so on. People has to be punished. You can't be driving on the bus route with other bus pass. Have you paid your tickets and so on? One thing I'd like to address before we move on to, do you know that if there's a driver who is driving a vehicle without insurance, and that vehicle happens to get into an accident with you, who is driving an insured, fully comprehensive vehicle, you have nothing to get? No, you have no recourse? And that is so stupid. Where is the law? What are they doing about that? Several persons have complained, and I have been witness to it as well, that an uninsured person driving a vehicle with no insurance getting get in an accident with your vehicle, obeying all the rules and so on, you have no recourse. So this is part of the comprehensive nature of things which I always speak about. When you see, you want to have, in the case of the FU home invasion, you want to have a different outcome. You want to have different results. And these things can only be achieved when you incorporate A, B, C, D, and E. Now, similarly with the road traffic ordinances, they need to revise this thing of in somebody is driving a vehicle without insurance, you get into an accident with your vehicle, you have nothing, you have no compensation to get. Why is that so? So you see, these things have to be revisited and reorganized to instill that level of confidence in people, and that should be the next step with respect to these fines and so on.
I have some concerns, now I support the fines, but I expect it to be issued in a non-arrogant fashion, in the sense that some officers don't seem to, implement the law in a professional manner, and sometimes they give tickets where it shouldn't be. But at the same time, there is necessary to give these tickets, and we also need,
That body
we
cam,
need
Gary, that
the
body
proper
cam.
amount of patrolling done. To kind of suppress the intentions of people. Or some people don't follow the law, and the only way you will have to deal with them is you're going to have to give the tickets, and some
That's
of them you're
right.
going to have to arrest them, where
Yes,
they have gotten used to being totally lawless and can continue with their arrogant behavior. Obviously, they were empowered to carry illegal guns.
Yes.
in an unspoken way. They were given that privilege because the law-abiding citizens were suppressed. So you could get your illegal gun and you could bully and trample anybody, right? And so we are putting some, our prime minister is putting some rules and regulation and improving the level of enforcement by allocating the necessary vehicles that we have seen her do, for the law enforcement so that they can do the jobs that is necessary. But we need the police to do their part. We need them to do it professionally. We need them to be respectful, and we also understand that we live with a bunch of hooligan people out there too. That there
Yes.
sometimes the police will have to get rough with them, and that is okay when they have to. But we do still require some kind of a professionalism with the police in
So,
what they're doing, and that they have to make a decision. Is either they're police or they're criminal. We have a lot of them that will have to make that decision, and I like to clarify that because we need police to be police, and if a person chooses to be criminal, then the police can deal with them. But we need that trust level to be built up back in the country, in the level and manner that we execute the law, and the level of security that they will be provided by the police in their duty.
totally agreed, Gary. And you hit it right, the points on the head there. But you know what? I would like to see, like, I guess these traffic offenses, that not special branch, but that traffic authority, that traffic police,
Well,
they
yeah,
should
the,
be
the
trained.
traffic division, that they
Yeah,
have the traffic division,
the
and
traffic branch, sorry,
but
that's it. Traffic
I
police.
want to see the motorbikes. I want to see the patrol vehicle over there. I want to see them fully,
Mm-hmm.
deployed and operating in a way. The first objective, number one here, is to apply every deterrent intention of criminals by showing your presence, by being in a strong force, that you have enough vehicles, you have enough officers out there to back you up should you face a confrontation. We want to see
Correct,
that done
correct.
so that they don't feel that they can just fly by the police and do what they want, because a lot of these young people are heavily armed, and the police has to be properly organized to stop
So,
them if necessary.
so that traffic branch has to be a well coordinated division, and it
Fully
have to
equipped,
be
fully resourced,
fully
fully properly well
correct
managed in the deployment.
and must know the rules under which they operate in. Because you know what? Sometimes you really meet arrogant policemen on the job. And how do you deal with it as a law abiding citizen? I can understand a criminal element, they will need to be act tough when dealing with them. But first of all, the basic things, your badge number. Sir, can I have your badge number? They should be able to give you their badge number. How do you know it's an authentic police or just a fake police? All these sort of criteria are going to come in, but not because you're wearing a police uniform means you're police, huh? Because I made up myself in my mind. If I see someone in a police, and they cannot give me their a badge number, so in the night and stuff, I'm driving off. Heck, whatever the consequences, let that be.
I
So,
totally
so,
agree with you also.
so they must have these things. They must, if they're doing night duty or body cam, they should be courteous, very courteous, very, very courteous. And that's how you earn the respect of the population. You know, again,
Uh,
there'll
and
be, go ahead.
and that's where we need the standard operating procedures,
Yes,
well
correct.
vetted standard
Yes,
operating procedures, and we
SOPs, the
revise it as
SOPs.
we go along to perfect it,
Yes,
right?
the
Not that we write
SOP,
something and that's it. No, we continue to revise it to perfect it, and we measure the results. The police, for
yes,
example, you mentioned, okay, so you mentioned the police pulling you over, right? He should have, whenever it is a traffic stop, he should have a body cam that's on, right? Recording the whole incident. If that video footage is absent and you appeal that ticket, automatically the judge should dismiss that. If there's no evidence to support, because he has broken his own rules, right?
correct.
In executing his duty, right?
Yes,
So we need to have standard operating procedures, because you don't want a police pulling you over, as you mentioned. The man don't want to give you his badge number and identify himself properly and stuff. You don't need the fake police. The man, they're trying to kidnap you or something, because we
how do
had
you know? Yeah.
incidents where police has kidnapped people in
Well,
Trinidad,
a lot of
right?
times, police uniforms have been used. Police
Yeah,
guns
yeah.
have been used
No,
to
here's
carry out.
something I meant to address a few weeks ago is that here's a judgment of a judge sentencing a gentleman that killed his wife. The judge tell him that your wife is it, that she is your wife is not your property,
Mhm.
and and
But
uh,
yeah,
we
but
see men abusing women, and there's a culture where you just beat up your wife and you distress your family, you rough up the children, you drink your rum, you come home and you're acting like a bajon. And I mean, your wife tries to go to the station, and she has no recourse because the police is basically they don't do anything about the situation because it's a culture, a long gone culture. But
okay,
we need the resources in place to assist people that they are properly handled and they know that they have somewhere and someone to turn to when they're in distress. A lot of people end up staying in relationship where they don't seem to have a way out,
Mhm.
and they become despondent and sometimes and getting killed. So we want to make sure going forward that our government can allocate all the necessary resources alongside the TTPS, where there are social workers and the social service working alongside the police force. You know.
Right.
Gary, you
This
made a
is
good point there. That's
yeah,
a very good point. But here's something.
uh,
How do we bridge that gap to bring those resources and bring that help to someone who is being abused in the community, right? Is it that we need to build stronger communities where neighbors can, really get together and talk, or we could revamp and have the community center as a building where common area where people can meet, they can have discussion groups, and they can talk about stuff, and more or less it's a community building effort. I think once I hear my neighbor shouting and crying or something, I have a right to inquire and say, hey, call and say, hey, is everything all right? Right? Or I hear the
right.
neighbor crying out. I'm gonna go across there and say, what's going on here? That's a distress cry here. What's going on? Somebody do it. Somebody's being physically
Well, I think
abused.
the best thing in our today's world is to really call for the police because you might encounter
Yeah.
where you
Well,
either
no,
get
I'll pick
injured
up the
or
phone
you
and
got
call. I'll pick up
killed.
the phone and call.
Yeah,
Right?
so what I'm saying to you is when you ask for these kind of when you encounter these things and you call for help, what we need is the effective response from the
Yeah.
TDPS. There
And
has
that's
to be
what.
clarification
Mhm.
in their SOP that they will be held accountable if they don't respond. If a call comes and you don't respond to the call and we don't get a report from you, we will have somebody's going to be asking you from headquarters why, and you're going to be held
Right.
accountable.
Now,
So
And one
I'm
thing
not sure if we record these distress calls, like all 911 calls here are recorded, right? And it's sometimes
yeah, I'm not sure
subpoenaed
what's
as,
been
as
done in Trinidad,
evidence.
so this is something to look into.
Yeah. So if
yeah,
we could have a system where we could also document that call, right? So we know exactly when the call came in, and we can now assess the response time, right? Because you don't want police showing up there an hour, 2 hours after when somebody's already dead to make a report.
Not only that,
no,
Ken, what I've seen here, even here in the States, you ask the police to assist in a domestic issue and they end up killing somebody.
mhm,
So, we need training. We need adequate resources that, I mean, I have seen where six police cannot disarm a man with a knife. And they would pull a gun and easily shoot the man. This person might be mentally deranged. There must be improved
Yeah.
way how we contain that person and
absolutely,
not necessarily
absolutely.
kill them.
Well, let me
So
give you a real world example. We had a relative who went to the Marines, and he came out with severe PTSD. And there was a function, and his friends from his platoon came by to check him out and stuff, and he was on meds. And
Mhm.
I don't know what other drugs he was taking and stuff. And during the function, he just tripped out, and um, the police came, and they had four Broward County sheriff had to handle him. And the reason why he didn't shoot him is father said he's a Marine and he didn't take his med. Because the way he was pushing around those guys, I mean, the guy's buffed, so and on drugs, right? So we have to understand mental disease also and what people are suffering with. You don't have, show up as a police officer waving a gun and say, and understand the situation that you're getting involved in, right? So they have to be trained properly to handle these situations, right? There are people who suffer with depression. Like, you just gonna shoot a man because he's suffering with some, he's in a state of some depression, some stuff as he's going through. Right?
Yeah,
He has some
the
mental
police has to be
problems.
trained and equipped to contain a situation instead of escalating it and killing somebody. So you might ask them to do how to say a safety check on somebody, and or there's a domestic situation, and the first thing the officer can do is pull his gun, and and instead of help to how to say to um to diffuse the situation, you
Yeah.
escalated it and you turn it into a life threatening situation. So I mean, the training has to be there, done. The resources has
Resources.
to be allocated.
And let me just say one
Uh,
something real quick. For
Go
example,
ahead.
you could pull your gun, but you could have you could, if it's a domestic problem, you could have a round of rubber bullets in there, right? Huge amount of
Mhm.
rubber bullet versus a real full metal jacket, right?
Some people
You know,
use pepper spray or something like that, but what I'm saying to you
correct.
And
is,
Or electric taser.
there's
yeah, taser,
sometimes
whatever it is you have
But
to do, you
you
use
also
that.
have to
But
understand the situation that you're getting involved in. Is the person suffering with depression or some mentally impaired, right?
mhm,
You just can't run in and shoot a man who's holding a stick or something who's mentally impaired, right? And doesn't know where he is or what he's doing, you know. So again, that's where the police has to be trained properly to handle these different type
absolutely.
of situations, you know.
and we have a long
Um,
way to go. We have a long way to go on that.
right, and that's where you're going to start to rebuild the trust, right? Once we know that we have police officers that are well trained out there that handle a broad, event of situations, from domestic to criminal to whatever, right? I think we're going to build that trust, versus people are getting scared of the police when they pull you over and thinking, are they going to kidnap you? You know, right? So we have a lot to do with regaining trust and building communities. I think we have to focus on the community building, right? And that's where we can look at our community centers and try to see how, I don't know, for the last 10 years, those things were probably dilapidated, right? Due to lack of funding and stuff. The PNM, I mean, they neglect the whole country for 10 years. So we have to go and do assessment through local government and look at these community centers, see how we could fix them up and try to bring back people together, right? I know down in Peru there, I spoke to a couple of people and they said, Ken, are we scared to be walking in the place here? Because long ago we used to come on and walk around that savannah 5 o'clock in the morning, but now you can't do that. And they said because the lighting, there's no lightings, they do, the lights are blown, and stuff like this. And the criminals, they have guys smoking marijuana in the place there, right? All kind of drugs and transactions stuff going on. So again, we have a lot of work to do. There are a lot of criminals running around the place there, right? And the prime minister is right. We have to take it with some serious stringent measures. We can't be lenient, right? So
I
I
mean,
mean, look,
a statement,
I would
and
agree with
even recently
Suman.
we've been saying it here too. But you said the country has become a lawless place.
a dump. What
Yes,
she say? It's
dump,
a dump.
a lawless dump.
A dump. A
It's
lawless
a
dump.
lawless dump. That's the exact word she's used,
Yes.
right? And as a result of the 10 years of neglect, right? A border that was left open for us. We had all the Coast Guard vessels there sitting idly without any excuse was we have no diesel, right? I mean, could you find a better excuse than that, Sumant? We don't have diesel.
Boy,
Yeah.
I sometimes I wonder if we're really in a banana republic or not.
Hmm.
You know, because anything,
But all that's going to
anything,
change. All
anything
that's going to
goes. But
change.
the people has to change. The procedure, the SOPs have to be changed. The level of training has to be changed. The customer service nature of dealing with the community has to be changed. A lot of social things has to be done along with these aspects which you just mentioned, has to be done to make the thing effective. Legislation alone will not cut it. You know, as I always say, legislation just clarifies things. what you could do, what you can't do, clarify the gray areas, the so-called gray areas, right? But to make it effective, we want to see the outcome. Hey, this legislation has been passed, and these are the follow-ups. There has been a 20% reduction. So you want to see a system like that that gives results at what you're trying to achieve. Same thing like agriculture. You've been hearing them, well, the Ministry of Agriculture saying that the food import bill right now is $7.4 billion. Okay. If someone tells me that, my next question will be what? How are you planning to reduce this? So give me a blueprint or tell me what's your strategic plan. How are you going to achieve this? And these are the things with results. Is it going
That's
to be
right.
a
That's right.
15%
Uh,
reduction in the first year
mhm.
of the food import bill or 20% in the second year and like that? And if that is the case, tell me what has to be done at this point in time,
Well,
in the present time,
r-
to achieve this 1 year from now. You
right. And
see,
Samad, and that is where a strategy comes in, right?
that's right.
Tell me,
But
what
you
is the
all have plans.
strategy,
Ken, let me tell you,
right?
the Ministry of Agriculture has a lot of strategic plans from various consultants coming in and so on, as well as other ministries. I know Ministry of Education have about 8 or 10 consultant reports from
Well,
Cambridge
Samad, let me just give you one
Consulting.
example here, right?
Uh,
And I hear you with all of that. But right now, the agricultural sector, and I've spoken to the farmers in San de Grande there, the farmers
mhm,
representative, they have a major problem with flooding. They don't want to hear about anything other thing else except flooding. They
right.
said, Ken, and they explained the problem to me. I said, I could identify, I know exactly what you're talking about here, with regard to the backflow and stuff, right?
Mhm,
And the illegal quarrying and the silt, the silt and stuff that's coming down from that as a result of that illegal quarrying, right? Um, and then there's other issues. But again, flooding
the
is a
last
major
thing, access
problem,
roads and so on.
right? But the flooding is a major concern,
These
right?
the
And it's not
number
just in
one.
San Grande, but it's throughout Trinidad and Tobago, where the
Mhm,
farmers are being affected. You know, um, even in bamboo number 2, where you have all those parts, place and stuff there. If you
mhm,
was to take that road and go all the way down to the end, you would
mhm,
come to a bridge, and I think it crosses the Wyville River or something like that, right? And when you go across there, there's a lot of farming and stuff in the back there, right? And these people, they get flooded, inundated almost on a yearly basis. So again, we have to deal with the flooding problem also, because we're spinning top in mud if we're trying to cut food import bill, and the basic root cause, we can't seem to solve that or identify that, right? Which is
right.
flooding, right? During the
So
rainy season.
So you see, coordination, intersectoral ministries has to get together and work hand in hand. Because if the Ministry of Agriculture does not identify that as a number one priority, how will rural development and so on, the Ministry of Rural Development, work with? So there have to be coordination among ministries to say, hey, you know what, I'm the Minister of Agriculture. Flooding is my number one problem. I intend to save $1 billion, which is 15% on the food import bill over the next year. How can I be, how can you, the Ministry of the World, help me in the flooding exercise? So these are the issues that has to be solved. Now, you have to understand every ministry, every minister has a job to be done. It's in the form of deliverables. Every ministry has strategic plans, what they hope to achieve. Every ministry has technical persons affiliated with it. They have advice. Ministers have personal advisors along. So among all these people and among all these little agencies and what have you, can we think that at least they can identify what is the core problem in certain sectors of the country and work towards fulfilling that or trying to solve those things. Flooding, for example, that can't be solved over a year or 2 or 3. It will take time, right?
Well,
So in
we
the
have to manage
meantime,
that,
what do
eh?
you do? What do you
Right.
do in the meantime? You can start, yes, but you could also bring a lot more arable land into cultivation.
Yeah.
you know, while that problem of flooding in the Grande area is being addressed. You know, so there are options, there are alternatives you can use in the meantime to achieve that $1 billion deficit in agriculture imports over time. And then you got to look and see, listen, man, where is my big import expenditure in Forex? Is it in meats? Is it in cheese and milk? What is it? Is it a rice? You know, you have to identify where are the big expenses being incurred. So if once you can identify that, and you could do some import substitution and grow the damn thing here. I didn't mean, have you been to the grocery shelf recently? I have been happening to go to the grocery over the past month and a half, and you see a lot of imported shit on the shelf, my man.
And that is draining the
Unnecessary.
foreign exchange. Yeah? That is putting is draining the
Draining the
foreign
foreign
exchange.
exchange. This is what, and
So we
here's
need to seriously promote local. We need to encourage farmers we need to help farmers, not just go and give out subsidies, right? Because again, that's where the revenue is being drained. You can't
yes,
try to say, hey, we're
really.
going to encourage farming here. People are
So
flooded out, and you come and hand them a check, subsidy check there, right?
So this
So,
is what I
so
need these ministers or ministries or advisors to level with the people and say, yeah, this is the plan. Tell me your opinion. And I'm sure they will have done this already. They are liaised with the various communities. They all know the problem now. Let's see how best we can resolve these problems. Time for talk is finished. We all know what the problems are. We can, even as non-agriculture ourselves, we can tell you what the problems are, right? But
that's
how do
correct.
you resolve it? How you can save that $1 billion every year through importation of food? What is it
And
that you have
you
to
made
put
a
in
good
place
point, yes,
now?
Suman. Set a
Yeah,
goal. If it's 7.4 billion per year, set a goal and say, you know
yeah,
what? Next year we're going to reduce. We're going to take 2 billion off of that, right?
yeah,
We're going to bring it down to 5.4 billion, right? And
right.
here's what we're going to do: X, Y, Z
Correct.
to
That's my
achieve that,
point. It's a
right?
structured approach, a
You know,
measurable approach.
when we do an
Yeah,
audit, we say, okay, with apples, we bringing in a lot of apples and pears and all sort of stuff here, or strawberries. Could
that's
we grow strawberries
that's
here locally? Why do we have to
yeah.
import strawberries? We're growing strawberries right here in Florida. You go on the pier and you pick on your weight and you take it
pick
home,
pick a
right?
bucket,
Same
pick a
climate like in
bucket.
Trinidad.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
pick a bucket
we
for
could have
$15.
encourage
Sure.
farmers to set up greenhouses, right? Give them
That
some low interest loans and some
no,
kind of incentives to do their greenhousing, and they could plant whatsoever crops and stuff inside there, right?
and
Like carrots
and
and
not
stuff. We need to import carrots.
Barbados grows all their carrots and onions.
So
Why we
can't
have
we do
to
the same thing,
reinvent the wheel
right?
right
And
here?
we started chip away at it, chip away at it, right? And
If
say,
you
hey,
know,
you know what? At the end of the next fiscal, whatever it is,
hmm
fourth quarter, we would achieve that goal of saving $2 billion, taking off 2 billion from our import bill,
and
right?
can not only that, of the years, let's say you save $2 billion, you can pump back $1 billion to accelerate that process the next year around. So
You
you
reinvest the
could say,
money back into the
yeah,
farmers,
at
right?
least $1 billion back into that, the more subsidies are the case, maybe more access roads, you know, more supervision, more control, better marketing, and so on. So, and of course, shutting off a lot of these unnecessary, and I put unnecessary in quotes, of items which we can grow here but still imported, like cucumbers. You seen English cucumbers on the shelf? Tell me what BS is that, man? You know,
So let's actually let's put together a list so we could suggest that the Ministry of Agriculture look for about 10 products that we can grow locally and set that as a goal to take that off the import list. So we don't want to see that being imported. It has to be grown locally, right?
hmm
Within the next year, and set a goal to take $2 billion off or $1 billion off of that food import bill,
yeah, and I can
by
see
again promoting
certain,
local.
yeah, yeah,
We have a campaign to promote local, right? And we continue to push that campaign. Hey, the government is having a party, we want to see that most of that food being served there is local. 40% or 50%, half of the food, the salad,
yeah.
the this, the that. The carrots in the fried rice is local, right?
Sweet
Whatever,
pepper,
right?
and
Because you have to lead by example. You can't be saying,
correct.
we want to cut off the bill, and all of a sudden you drinking some foreign, eating some foreign, consuming some foreign product there when it could be grown locally,
No,
right?
I don't mind. I don't mind the foreign products, but they should be taxed 200 and 300% for me. If you want to buy it, you buy it. That's okay. The government have made my money through the taxation already. So, you know, give people the choices, but let them pay the price for it. For example, New Year's is a couple days away. Or there's not a lot of parties. If you want to drink Moet and Chandon, or ringing with your fancy drinks and so on, you pay the price, 500 or 600% tax on it. Or do I prefer to drink local Caribbean? Give people the options. Give people that don't cut it off right, drastically there.
That's
This is
right.
what I think.
That's right.
You cannot find a damn orange in the market, but you'll find lots of apples on sale. How come? I catch in my butt to get fresh oranges. You can't. You find a lot
Well,
of
Samad, in addition to that, right? We need to also look at innovation also, right? And try to,
incentivize people.
so that
Yeah.
we could foster innovation, right? We can't stifle. That's
Mm-hmm.
one area that is very, very important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I am a big person when it comes to innovation. So we need to also inspire the youths to think out of the box, people to innovate and come up with new ways of doing things. Maybe to grow fruits and vegetables, or
Yeah.
do some greenhousing and stuff, right? Or find innovative ways of dealing with food, right? Reconstructing food and using stuff local and trying to package it and infusing some kind of um, pepper sauce in our chocolate to make it something unique, a product, something
You
like that to
know.
that effect,
Yes. You're quite right.
like a
It's
habanero
called
chocolate or something.
it's called product extension in marketing. That's the terminology
Correct.
used. That we extend the product to sell money, other uses, which is done right here. We don't have to send it away. We shouldn't be shipping cocoa at all overseas. The cocoa beans, that is. We should be processing these things downstream. A lot of different products from chocolate to chocolate liquor to chocolate creams to face creams and so on. A whole value chain of these items, and this is what we're lacking. But as you said, innovation is a way to go, and these are the things that can help us bring down the food bill. And
Definitely,
once
definitely.
once it's started, once the cycle is started, you get a lot more people jumping on the bandwagon. Like I saw recently, a couple of houses for me, they plant a large portion of dragon fruit. And that's so nice because I'm waiting for it to be to buy as much as I can eat from the plot. But dragon fruit was sold in Massy recently. I saw $104 for two.
Wow.
Is that necessary? Is dragon fruit a necessary import? Why can't we get Pomsite or Pomerac or something? Import substitution, as they call it.
Yeah, but I think that could be grown
Welcome,
locally,
Dr. Mirage. Dr. Mirage in the
Hi,
house.
how are you?
Hey,
Dr.
Doc,
Raj, good
welcome,
evening. How are you?
welcome on.
Hello, how everybody going? Everybody good,
Ah,
Good,
right?
good, good, man. Everybody's fine.
good, man. I hope you had a lot to eat and drink over the last couple of days.
Yeah, well, whatever it is,
Right,
to-
nice, nice.
around this time of the year, we kind of
Yes,
tied up with financial business because there is where you rebalance your portfolio. I was trading this morning. I got to continue trading in the morning again because now you do it throughout the year. But we're talking
yeah,
money because everything is money, really. Yeah, we'll come into money in a bit because I hear what you all are saying about crime and we beat that death. I think this crime and this yeah. Look. Let me just summarize a few points about you all on this platform. I I usually refer to Sumant as Mr. AI, and I refer to Ken as Mr. I forgot what the term he used. You make all these highways across the sea, across, what do you call it? Cross.
Engineer,
Uh,
Civil engineer, civil engineer.
Civil engineer.
yeah, no re-engineering, but he's using. I imagining what I call him the Mr. Cross. The road that you take to cross, you're crossing over there on the island, making
Causeway?
a parallel
The causeway?
causeway. That's Mr. Causeway. That is Mr. Causeway.
That's Gary's idea.
But you see,
And-
Mr. Doc, you better be careful because Gary was the one who proposed that and not Ken. So
I
he's
just said
kind
that's Gary's idea.
of,
yeah, but I mean, I kind of associated with the engineering side of it, really.
Gary
No
will
problem,
be
no problem.
offended if you say that.
Yeah. No, Gary is the
The grand
the
head,
Kamala,
the grand head.
the prime minister's the big mouthpiece, defender. You call it what you want.
You call him the grand hefe.
Yeah, his Iron Lady, as they call her today, the Iron Lady. He's the Iron Lady.
Right hand
Shadow.
man.
Yeah, so that they were associated with that because anyway you come back, he has great things to say about the lady, and I myself, she's noble, and she's even they thought they wrote her off, but she's getting even better and better as the days proceed. There are some people in the society, as you would expect, would not looking at her in the light that we are seeing, and the world is seeing someone who is very enlightened, very articulate, ready to pounce on anyone who's inconsistent in the way they approach things. I just saw her today. For the first time, I heard her took on the opposition leader, who really was making a mess of things in the sense that she is not she has too many overheads. Those guys who intervening, I told them that they should. I told you only last time that those guys should come up. They already had ex-prime minister and they were ex this and ex then. They coming through the back window in the Valinje patch and they're making things worse for her. She's not getting on the case by trying to because Rowley had to fight with Manning. I mean, she also has to fight with Rowley to get him off her back because he's making things worse for her. And the other younger one who is not saying much, but he could also be a danger, but he's less of a problem. Because he's still a current MP thing. So I'm saying all of these things because we have to understand where all of this is coming from, because the debate is very, very clear, and you all have to take a side, and you are taking a side, and the other side is very clear. You have to beat them point by point, and that is where our debate and our platform is. Starting with what happened today with some of you already entered the discussion with the fines. You can start with what the fine is all about, the doubling of the fines, and they make it a big thing about this. You know, when Pandey just won election in 1995, he came here in about 1997 in New York City, and he was on a radio program. And I usually used to get him on programs as well. So he was on one of the radio programs, and they were sending back people to Trinidad who were committing crimes in the United States. And of course, after you do your time, they send you home. And many Trinidadians living up here, and West Indians, find that is wrong, that people come here, what they're going to go home and they're going to do, they're going back. So this was not right, and they live here so long, there's nobody there, why send them back? So they asked Pandey, well, what is your position on these people that are there sending back to Trinidad? You say, well, it's easy, I have an easy answer. Simple. And everybody waiting for the simple answer because we find it that so don't commit any crime and they wouldn't send you back. That was simple enough. And then we'll have people listening. A lot of them stayed quiet. And some of you don't replied back, but really, that was a simple answer which shut up a lot of them. So in the same way, you have these doubling of the fines. I would think twice before I ride that shoulder and run up to this to beat everybody, beat the traffic, and run to the front. Those of you coming from Avocat will know these things. I mean, before you get to Port of Spain, you have to go through about 4 of these big ones before you get into Port of Spain. And these big ones mean that the light will keep you back for about 15, 20 minutes. And somebody running up the shoulder is breaking the law, of course, because you're taking on the whichever lane you ride, your left-hand lane, there he's riding off, then the right-hand mirror side, whatever side, but he's on the riding up the lane. In other words, it's not a lane, but he's using the lane, the parkway, or whatever you call it, on the shoulder. He's doing the shoulder as a lane, and that is illegal. So when you really look at it, you near the lights and you say, okay, when the next change, you count the number of cars and say the next 1, 2 change, I should be there. But then there's a one jump run by, another one run by, another one run by. And next thing, you have to wait 2 more lights rather than just waiting maybe 3. You have to wait 5 in all rather than only 3. That is irritating. And those are the kinds of fines that we are referring to, that society in general be better off if we can control some of those kinds of things. We're all trying to get in the Port of Spain for 9 o'clock. But we could only get so far because we left at a certain time, and therefore we have to follow the line and go. We overtake on the other highways, but when you come down to it, there's no more overtaking. The lanes are all filled. So those kind of doubling of fines, everybody should be clapping. I don't know what. I mean, I know, but I think I call it the donkey logic. Those of you who read that little thing I wrote, but it's donkey logic because. Why are you talking about? Why are you fearful about fines? Don't, like Pandey said, don't commit the crime, and you don't have to pay anything. You have to pay nothing. So that's a nice way to evade. You can evade those contribution towards the federal, the city government, the government coffers, because you commit no crime. Therefore, you put nothing into the pool. Therefore, you're not contributing in any way. That's the best way to defeat the government. Don't commit any crime. Therefore, you would not help them with the money that you said they're looking for money.
Absolutely, Doc. You have it on the head, man. That's exactly my sentiments as well. Don't commit no crime. So you wouldn't. If you hate the government, don't
you're not to contribute. You're not to contribute towards the government coffers.
Correct.
If you say the government want to raise money, prove them that you will not help. By not committing any crime, by not riding the shoulders, by not trying to get there before everybody else and breaking all the rules. So you want to have a lawless society and expect us to be progressive? You cannot be progressive by not following. You have the laws. Laws change behavior. Because the Trinidad mentality is, we country, we could do what we want, nobody can stop we. We own this country. This is ours. Freedom master, they're done. We could do what we want. So the master is not there anymore. The master is sending back to England, if that's what you're saying. You send them back to England, so you have no masters anymore. We have our own masters here, so we could do what we want. No, if you are your own masters, you have to behave more properly because you are in charge now. So that is why I was taking this discussion because if you're saying people would not pay the fine because it's too high. That doesn't sound well, because if it's too high, don't commit the crime. In other words, you only pay if it is cheap. You wouldn't pay when it's expensive. There's a reason why we have laws in our society. We have laws so that people can change behavior, and society as a whole will benefit, because the good of all must supersede the benefit of the few.
Yes.
We have laws so that behavior will change over time. I mean, those of you who live in America, you know how this works. You have to separate your garbage into different containers.
Yeah.
And after a while, it becomes normal for you to do this. There's not a law anymore. It's a way of behavior. You do it automatically. And if you do the wrong thing, you say, gee, that's the wrong thing I'm doing. I should not do it that way. However, if I make a mistake next time, I would. So laws change behavior, and behavior bring about a better society. If you cannot observe your laws and you cannot live by your laws, there's no sense you are living in that country. You might as well go somewhere else, wherever that country would be. So, so the point is, all of this really is that if they're saying that the government, okay, the government have strapped for cash. You said so before. So what is surprising you that if they're trying to raise funds in any different way, really, if you ask me, they're not, you could raise more by doubling the price. Look, you know what you're saying? If you're saying that people are raising funds by doubling the penalty, that means that people are inelastic in their behavior. Because if you're elastic, you will change your behavior. If you're inelastic, you will not. You'll pay the fine. Even though you have doubled, you continue behaving the same way. You are irrational. You're not a rational person. You cannot be rational and committing the same level of crime when it's twice the price. If the price goes up, you're buying the same amount? No. That's not normally how people who are in business works. That's not how a human being works. You are a rational human being. We need more for less. Why would you want to give up your money? The fine has not doubled and you continue to behave the same way? No, you can't. So rather than complaining everywhere and doing and try and live within what is the requirement and what this is all about. So yes, spare me a few minutes. I'll come back in a minute. I'll continue. Go ahead, Suman. I'll continue with it. Let me just do something. I'll come back right away.
No problem, Doc. And point well taken, because we shared those same sentiments in our earlier discussion. In fact, Ken and I, and Gary were along, we are along the same lines of thought. That even it's double, it could be triple or quadruple. Why should I care? I don't intend to break the law, so I shouldn't be bothered. And that will be to the benefit of all of society. If they can see
But gentlemen, you could put how much fine you want for some people, and how much, and write as much law as you want. Unless you put the resources to enforce these
absolutely, Gary.
laws,
Yes,
and it have to be consistent. You have to
and
remain consistent, not hit and miss. We
and
cannot
we
enforce
mentioned,
laws hit and miss. We have to
we
maintain
men-
consistency.
yes,
Patrolling
and we
must be
mentioned
consistent. It
the role of
Good
must not
the
be
policing.
hit
traffic
and
ban.
miss. We have to
Good
We
remain
policing.
mentioned,
fully engaged.
mhm.
It's because the police has failed that we has reached to the stage that we are. Because the police became part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Yes,
Okay, this is why we made so
absolutely.
much an effort
And
to change the government. Otherwise, we'd leave the government right there, PNM or whoever is there. But the silly thing about it is the thing got so bad that people had to get serious, and they gave a mandate to this government, and they didn't give a mandate to this government to maintain status quo. So when people getting upset at the government making changes, the government was mandated to make those changes. Go ahead.
yeah, and that's what we are saying, that they need to have that special training in the traffic branch. Police is going to administer these traffic fines. They have to be of a certain ilk. One, they operate by the procedures. They give up, show their body cam, and all these things have to be in place to effect these things. Um, Somebody driving without an insurance, his license should be seized immediately, because as I mentioned, if he is in an accident with someone a legal citizen has proper insurance for his vehicle, and he gets into an accident with that person, well, that legal person who is driving and obeying order, he has no recourse. So all these things have to go hand in hand. These things have to be examined, modified. The whole system has to be refocused. The traffic branch especially has to be more customer service oriented in applying the law throughout and consistent as SOPs. The standard of, oh, this is my friend, my neighbor, I let him go. This kind of things has to be, eliminated from the system. That's why the body cams are important, very important, so that the conversation is taped and what have you. And those in the back office can literally see what's being said or discussed. So the system has to be changed and refocused in delivery of whatever action you want to
Well,
take.
change is what the people voted for, you know.
Oh,
Change
sorry.
is what they
Um,
voted for. They were fed up.
Yeah.
Yes,
So let me just butt in here a little bit because I see all where you're going with this. So you're suggesting, I think you're hearing something about body cam. Is that what I'm hearing about from Sumit that
yes, yes,
you talk about?
yes, yes.
Why do we want body cams? Because
We want body cams because we want to have a back office who can monitor our conversation so that you don't expose the traffic branch police to somebody. Hey, this is my buddy, this is my friend, my neighbor, or something. Hey, hold this in the pocket, and he goes away scot free. You want to
Well,
have someone at the
somebody
back
more than
office
that.
to
There's a
monitor.
lot of time. The body cam footage. We have a lot of police officers who have been doing wrong things in their duties as enforcing the law. And it also protects both the officer and the citizen because you have the footage. We have seen here dash cam footage in the USA and body cam footage
Yeah,
of
yeah,
incidents
yeah.
that has either liberated the police officer or incriminated the police officer.
Absolutely.
So the body cam footage has become, very necessary in proving the fact of right and
Standard,
wrong. I
right?
mean, they say a picture words are tons of thousand words, so tell me how much does a video worth? You know what I mean? So the evidence is undeniable fact. I mean, if you have the video footage of an incident where between an officer and a citizen, you have all the proof that you need there. You know,
what percent
Um,
of complaints do you have that police are not sticking to the laws, to the rules? What
but
percent
Doc, we have
does it
seen that
happen?
both here in the United States and all over the world. It's not
No,
just
no, no, no.
pertaining to
Trinidad and
Trinidad.
Tobago. Trinidad and
Doc,
Tobago
Yes, yes,
alone.
Doc. If you look
Doc,
at the police complaints authority and you see the amount of complaints from citizens to the police complaints authority, you will get an idea of the extent to which this thing happens. Most of it is not even reported because of fear,
correct. Yes. Yes.
you know. So that
We
if
don't keep. We
again,
don't keep
I've drawn the example. A policeman stops me in the
good
road.
data.
He, he doesn't show me his badge. I ask, can you tell me your badge number, sir? And he refuses to tell you his badge. Why? I drive off. How do I know he's a real policeman?
So,
Especially
Doc,
if it's
what are some other
especially if it's in the night.
exactly,
It's a
exactly.
one to one. One policeman. Yourself is a one to one. You don't know who is he. Not because he's wearing police clothes or police uniform means he's a
Maybe he's a
policeman.
kidnapper.
He's a
We
kidnapper.
have
He
too
may have
many
stolen
incidents in Trinidad right now
plenty,
where
plenty,
people are
plenty,
dressed like police
plenty.
officers and
Well, you all,
they're pulling
because
people
you all
over,
sound
and
like
also you have police officers who are misconducting themselves in how they execute their duties.
so
Renting their clothes,
you all
renting the
sound as though
guns.
you have a rogue police force. Is that what you're saying?
We have rogue officers within
Obviously,
the police force. And
obviously.
let me tell you something. I have gotten so many complaints and calls about these incidents from police going into people's home, extorting money for protection, taking money out of the cash register
How many body
of a
cams?
small business.
Okay, good. So let's say we need to arm them with body cam, which I'm not convinced yet, but let's say we intend to arm them with body cam because the other side is saying the other side is saying the same thing like to your side, the opposite. So if you all are saying the same thing and your opposition is saying the same thing, then it has to be some truth to all of this because you're all
The
saying the same thing
opposition.
as the opposition.
No,
The
the
So the
opposition is
opposition
opposition
is
is
not saying
okay.
that.
So
opposition meaning
all of a sudden,
opposition
the
doesn't mean
opposition is
government.
supporting the
Opposition
body
means
cam.
people. When my opposition is not the PNM, my opposition is those who are saying things different to what I am saying. That is the opposition I'm talking about. It could be from the same party itself. So
Well,
In my opinion, I think the body cam is absolutely necessary to
yeah, your
eliminate,
opinion is fine. They could keep your
to
opinion,
rule
but
out, to rule
I
out
still have a problem.
any misinformation. The body cam will have the truth and the facts if it is not interfered with and altered. In the original footing, the body cam tells everything, and that will clarify what actually happened. And we have seen it here, Doc. I have seen too many footages where the body cam cleared the officer or incriminate the officer. You know,
That's in another country. I'm
Excessive,
talking about
excessive.
Trinidad.
yeah, well,
Yes, doc.
maybe it
It's
lacks
topics.
the standard operating procedures, which could be derived from the police policy on how
body
they
cam and
operate
dash
and execute
cam.
their duties,
In fact,
right?
under Commissioner Griffith, that was the dash cam was going to be something part of the
Yes.
of the officers' patrol vehicle there. That I don't know what happened to the program, but the PNM came in. I mean, after they get rid of the, I mean, they regret they put Commissioner Griffith there because they thought they was going to use him to incriminate UNC. They didn't really put him there because they wanted a good commissioner. They thought they could utilize him against UNC. Because
Well,
the level of
that
thing
was
that Commissioner
the,
Griffith was bringing on board, they couldn't handle that. They could not handle the fact of the level of
but
technology and the effort he has made. He was very hands on, and they couldn't handle that. The PNM could not handle that. You know, and they got rid of everything. If you so care about the country and you get rid of every good thing that was helping
but
to make law enforcement effective, then what you tell us exactly what side you on?
That's a good point. A good point.
Because the other side
and
is
not only
saying
that,
that
you know, Gary. Look, a classic example is the cameras. You know, the camera system. All of a sudden, instead of 60-70% working, it went down to 15% of the cameras in
Well,
the street
we
corners
also
and so
had
on are working.
a
What happened?
Minister of National Security say his job was not there to make people safe.
Yep. So that was a mandate that he gave. It's not his job. It's not his job to make sure the people, you know, society is safe. Yeah. It's not his job to do a crime plan. That's what is touted.
Do you know what's the price of a camera? A body cam?
I don't
know.
know.
I can only talk money. I can't talk anything else. You know what's the price of a body cam?
It varies on the quality you want to buy. I mean, you could get one for $40. You could get one for $80. Depends. US depends on.
Oh, you know, what's that account? I know what kind that is.
I mean, you get more. You know, I mean, I have looked into getting one for myself many times. But anyway, I mean, you could go more expensive. You know, depends on the level of technology you want to get involved with.
Yeah, especially with Wi-Fi enabled and so on, you have a different price for all these things. Like everything else, you get what you pay for.
So it's a reasonable one with all this thing you're talking about is about 600 US.
Oh, much less than
about
that.
500.
So if you need 1,000 of those,
yeah,
that's what
600,000.
600,000.
Yeah. Is that a expensive price to pay for?
No, but that's not all. Remember, you have to, when you have the body cam, you have to you have things to do because body cam is only on your way and walk away. You have to end up reviewing. You have to have another batch of people behind the scene operation.
Yeah, a back end office. That's what I'm saying. You need to have a back end office.
So you're looking at
a budget.
You're looking at a budget of about $5 million to have equip the police service with body cam and the backup service. A budget per year.
But $1 million US as a budget. You know, that's it.
Look, I'm seeing here on Amazon $249. I have one for $159. I have one for $93.
You can't borrow Amazon. Amazon is refurbished kind of stuff.
Amazon has Amazon does not only sell refurbished; they sell both.
Yeah,
because I bought new.
So all the backup service and so you're putting a price of about $500 US with all that goes with it, with all the backup service and the servicing and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So with these few complaints that you have, I hope you can justify that $600 US. You don't have You all in Trinidad don't have 600 PT dollars, much worse 600 US, 600,000 US.
But Doc, their budget is close to $8 billion for the year per annum. So where is it the priority? This is the thing, you know.
Well, just look at the money allocated to national security
I
within the last 10 years, right? And we will have to pull out that for further conversation. The money allocated to national security, we have to look at the national security budget, and then we will look and see how the money was allocated to, for what, and then we could take it from there. So we'll have to get a breakdown.
But
I'm
I'm saying
sure
that
it's pretty,
thousand, I need about
We-
2,000 cameras and all. I mean, 1,000 maybe much too less, but it's looking at 1,000. But
at least
my
What is
point is
it?
that
Is it
every time you all
four or
talk
six
about,
thousand officers we have? I can't remember if it's 4 or 6,000 officers.
yeah, but everybody won't have one. You might not, batch might
correct.
have one. You know, everybody wouldn't
That's
have
right.
one. But
Traffic
yeah,
branch and so on, dealing more with the public and the one-to-one
The police
action with
cars, the police vehicles should be outfitted with a dash cam, though.
all of them. All of them.
Yes, correct. And a GPS system.
Pe- People
Tracking
on
vehicle.
patrols, motorbikes on patrols and so on. Anytime there's interaction with community citizens and the police, at that point, you know, as in a traffic stop, a traffic accident, these sort of things. I think it's important you have to phone calls coming in for emergencies and so on. All these things, body cams are necessary
So,
because
so
only by when having these things, you can collect data. So how do we know how many 99 calls the police have received last month? We have no idea how much was attended to within 15 minutes or an hour. How many within 3 hours? We don't have that type of data. So what happens now? These things are just left to only when someone reports it, hey, you know, I called the police, they didn't show up. The police is 10 houses from by me, it took them 3 hours to come. These kind of issues come up. So this is how, when you have a back office to monitor these things, you can say, hey, what the hell is going on there? Someone reported you live in Avocat, the police station or approach is 5 minutes away, and you all have not attended to this issue yet. These are the things which you like to see happening. So
since the police service has improved the education qualification for entering the police service, we have had better quality of PR in the police service, where the constables and they're coming out, they're kind of more humane and more people oriented and more. I don't know why this problem is that you all are referring to. Because in the modern day police is a different batch than when I used to be and when people, in the last century compared to this century. I mean, so I could see the quality of police you are getting now. They are more humane and they more do the job and do what they need to do and leave and go when they finish work and come back when they have to work and all those kind of responsibilities. Then the rogue cop you all are mentioning that might be few and far between, and we will maybe we're asking, maybe we're trying to deal with a problem that's different to what you all are defining. Because I don't know. You know why? Don't know why the opposition want the body cam. They want the body cam because when the police shoot a criminal, they want to make it sure that the criminal was doing what they said the police doing. Not what the police is saying now, what the criminal is doing. They can well give the criminal the body cam away rather than the police, because that is what they say. So I was wondering if you all saying the same thing, because kind of what you're saying the same thing, because there are so
But
many complaints you
you
have
referring
against
to
the
now
police.
the opposition PNM you're referring to now?
No, opposition, people who saying opposite to what you all are saying. It could be
well,
anybody.
I'll give you a classic example. One of them was saying that these laws are against we are what the term he's using. The Cole Potman, he said that we are discriminating against his constituents.
Right.
Right? What is he trying to say? That because his constituents are the one who is doing most of the crime, that is what he's telling me. that we are discriminating against him, against his constituents for doing these
So,
crimes.
so at the same time, he's telling us that the majority of his constituents are criminal. Then is he
Yes, that's
referring?
what.
If he's,
What?
are you referring to his constituents, which is his clientele, or his actual constituents where he is representing?
No, well,
Because
if you look,
that was put in this. In fact, Minister Stokes put him in his place in reference to that. Are you referring to your clientele, or you know?
yeah, because your residents, who you represent, are your client.
No,
They're
but
all
see the
your
thing, Doc,
clientele.
he's a criminal attorney. So,
Okay.
who are you
Yeah.
representing? Are you representing the actual constituents of your constituency, or are you referring to your clientele who you usually represent?
Potential clients.
Or is he referring to his constituent, the people who vote for him,
Yes, both.
who he represents?
So he knows the
Who
fact
could be
that
a
the
client?
majority of his constituents is criminal. Then that's what he's telling us.
Right.
That's what he
Yeah,
said.
and they could be, and they're client on mine. They could be clients.
we are endangering his criminal constituents who will invade our home or kidnap our family or rob our business, etc.
Yeah.
So we are putting
Yes.
them we are
Yeah, because
endangering them.
you are the one who stopped CPEP. So therefore you're endangering my clients, because my clients depend on CPEP and now they have to
I
turn the
don't-
crime.
No. I disagree there, Doc. I will take the
No, you
argument.
disagree, but that's the guy argument. You disagree with him, yeah, but he's making a
Yeah,
case for himself.
Well,
The
CPAP
statement.
didn't prevent anybody from committing crime because they were killing each other over box train contracts. In fact,
You see,
that was while Commissioner Griffith was Commissioner of Police. That's one of the issues he was dealing with. They were killing each other over box train contracts, shootout, drive-by hit, shooting man on the
scam.
construction site. So these are the kind
No
of things that we got
no,
to. So for us, so I'm concerned is the better thing to do is to absorb these people in the borough corporation, eliminate that kind of contract structure, and make them a full-time employee. They could, according to the prime minister, you can apply for a loan if you have a full-time job, and instead of this contract, here and there, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks out job, you get a permanent job. And
But
our government has the intention of putting things that you could advance yourself in place. The
that's
educational structure. You could work your borough corporation job, go to your classes, and advance yourself. So I mean,
that's
all
exactly
this
what's
big
being
hoorah and
done.
trying to create misinformation and get people confused. And I mean, we have to always remember this prime minister has always put resources to help poor people get ahead.
And that is what's being done exactly at this point in time. A lot of them are currently being absorbed by the relevant corporations. I think the goal was about 9 or 10,000 to be absorbed over the next 2 months. So that's a good initiative. But they're no longer branded as CPEP, URP, and all these sorts of things. They're branded as employees, permanent employees in the relevant corporations. That connotation of being CPEP and URP has lost whatever semblance of normalcy there. It's been flagged as something full of bubble and theft and all the so-called body elements and contracts without signatures and friends and family and ghost camps. All these branding things for CPEP has been thrown out, and we cut this a clean slate. You're an employee, you apply, you're a good employee, okay, you become a permanent employee once you are absorbed in the ministry. I think the Ministry of Rural Development, which monitors the corporations. So that's a good initiative. They weed out the bad elements and,
Again, you put a good structure in place there to address the problem.
You address the problem and you fix it. This is the point. You fix the challenges because you are the one in charge. No, you have to fix it.
And Sumad, I believe the workers are being treated better than when they were in the CPEP and URP. The pay is doubled. permanent
And
work,
getting a higher
right?
salary. Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
and there's
right.
no more top man or controlling the contract, all this fraud and
And
stuff
you
that
don't
was
have
there
to
before.
bribe nobody to pay a $5,000
Correct.
to get a CPEP job.
Correct. Yeah, so there's more structure to it, right? And it seems as though this is what was required to get this thing to work
Because
versus,
we had a racket going on, with also you had to pay to get the job. You didn't have a job and you had to pay to get a job. You had to come up with a
yeah.
change. You had to pay the man who taking number for taking the list, making the list for you to get a job. So
Yeah,
this
so
all
all
kind
that
of
has been
nonsense.
eliminated. All that has been
And then
eliminated.
then you could graduate by not being on the job and still getting paid.
Yeah. So like everything else, this is what we need to do. Sector by sector, go out there, cut out the waste, and implement something new, some well vetted structure in place. Whether standard operating procedures for the police, right? Response time, the way they would do a traffic stop, the way from when they would receive a vehicle to how they would hand it back over to the next shift, right, etc. You know, so we
Um,
need to address all sectors like this.
Doc, I don't know if you know that there was a noted law enforcement individual who he did his analysis and he found that about 26%, or let's call it 25% of the officers are literally rogue officers in the police service at this point in time.
How
So
much?
that
What
means
percent? What percent?
26%. 26%.
Wow. And that's come
So,
from government data?
well, I don't know if he submitted the report, but he did an independent because he retired now and he did his analysis. Now,
Yeah.
what does that amount to? I think the force in Trinidad is about 8,000, so 25% is 2,000.
Yeah.
And it stems a lot. We would like to think it's the small guys, but it's not the small guys. It's the big guys who have the small guys working for him and who's suppressing, whatever evidence and so on. That's why, over the 10 years, how many drug busts have we seen? How many major drug busts have we seen? How many people has
None,
been ticketed?
none
All these
whatsoever.
sort of things, you could look at the data and see, well, there were only 3 drug busts, large drug busts over 10 years. But here's it, we have seen almost 5 big drug busts in 8 months' time since the UNC has been there. So what's the correlation? We could draw our own conclusions like that.
No, you don't draw your own conclusion. They would not draw. You had to draw it for them.
Yeah,
You have to
so
draw the
you see,
conclusion.
and
You
that
see,
that
you
is
see.
why that is why
Right.
they did not have any data, and I keep on saying the same thing. The data collection was deliberately left out from all these scenarios under the PNM. They broke all the system. They changed the rules of operation. So you cannot incriminate none of them because the system is broken. They can't find the files. They can't find the correspondence. Nothing. So these guys got away scot-free. They made their friends and family rich. And here is it. Who is holding the stick? You and I are the one who is holding the stick now. So this is
So
the corruption.
you just showed the minister saying construction materials are liberalized. The average Trinidadian don't know what the hell he's talking about. Nobody knows. The press would willfully want to present this in a opaque manner so that people will doesn't care, doesn't see the value. He's making a very valid point, but how many people understand what is it he's saying? They,
Liberalization. Yeah.
you have to break it down to your readers, or if they can't do it, then it is the government side will have to break it down. Here, this is what we're doing. The other, I told you all that the prime minister had to get this. She's talking loud, yeah, but you got to use the bullhorn. And I promised to write her to tell her about this. I thought she was making some noise today. I thought she's getting there, but maybe not. Because this, if you all are doing great works, and this is an extreme good point that is being done by the minister. But if you can break it down to Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Sumant, and Ken and Ashford in the street, nobody, that just also, who cares?
That's
Because
right,
you
doc.
weren't the kid.
That's
You
right,
weren't the
doctor. That's why we keep on saying, you and I, we keep on saying they need to be on the damn media every week or every 2 weeks and so on. Keep on harping these things, explaining to the society what your plans are, what you're doing, what are the, all these activities. Don't wait for the 5 years to come up and tell me you build 105 schools. Speak on hitting this time and time and time and time over the press, on the news. Let it be splashing 24/7 across, so it sinks into people's head. And
So taking your point again, because today one of the press, I don't know if Gary sent any papers today, was one of the press, I was maybe in Gary, who sent it. The previous Minister of Works, I think you all know who he is.
yeah,
He was trying to lay out the
Yeah, that's
foundation
the
of,
most honest Indian internet.
yeah,
of maybe. So he's laying out the foundation and saying that if the fine is very high, people wouldn't pay it. Therefore, you'll find the courts. This guy, that is what led me to tell you all that we had to be living in dreamland. These are the donkey logic. This donkey
but
logic is it's kind of
but
I kind of embarrassed to read this stuff.
but
Read,
Dr. Maharaj, even his opposition leader said the same thing. Today,
but
the opposition
yeah,
leader said the
no,
same thing.
yeah. We don't expect much different from any one of them.
Yeah,
I'm including the one you just mentioned, the one who's saying, the one who talked about his constituents are being targeted. Back to the
on,
panel thing.
on, on
If your constituents are
TV.
being targeted, that means they do something wrong. So stop doing wrong, and therefore we won't target you. That is
Yeah,
what Pandit told him.
Right.
In big New York
correct.
City here, I'm sure to have about a
Yeah.
250,000 people listening that morning.
Yeah. And I didn't even bother to respond to that article. I posted another article where he mentioned something about the flooding. Flooding will be fixed in 5 years, right? So to save all of that energy, right? You just discredit him one shot. He is making a lot of baseless claims and trying to build an argument just for argument purposes, right? But the guy has no credibility. He has no credibility whatsoever, right? Now,
And
if you want to
that,
look at the article,
mm,
what he's the way the article is structured and what he's referring to, he is referring to people at the bottom of the socioeconomic strata, right? And he's implying that they are lawless, they are inclined to break the law, and they will suffer the most. Look, what it boils down to is that people could break the law. You could be at the bottom of the socioeconomic strata, or the top of it, or the middle, wherever title you have. Anyone can break the law, right? And you can pay the fine.
correct.
Simple. Don't break the law. Obey the rule of law, and everything will be fine. That is simple. End of story.
Okay, if you could take the argument to another level, how come it came to 1,000 when the PNM was there? It came to 1,000 from what? $20, $50, $100? What? What is the figure? And why
Well,
did it come to 1,000 when the PNM was there? From whatever it figured to $1,000. It's the same argument you can use when it doubled from 1,000 to 2,000. Why did you double it? So that explanation is totally null and void. Because
Why? So you answer it back. Why did you double it?
why did you
I thought you
double
were
it?
going to give us an answer. No?
So it's the same argument you used when it was whatever it was before. As I said, $20, $50, $100. You
Right.
PNM took it to $1,000. What was the
Mhm.
justification to take it to 1,000? Why not 2,000? Why not 5,000? Why not 10? What is the justification? Let me hear it. What justifications are used to bring it to $1,000?
Well,
Now,
the justification now is people don't have money. That time they had money.
no. But I agree to an extent. But that is no excuse for breaking the law. Not because I don't have food, I must go and rob a grocery. So it's the same thing. It's the same argument you can use, for
Come on. But when you
Again,
look at the
yeah,
person,
here's your guy here, the most honest
yeah,
Indian who could eradicate
yeah,
flooding in
and
India.
you
Gary, that's not
was,
my guy, But again, it reflects the lack of credibility. So here's a man who is saying something that is above his league, right? This is the way he wants to wear a different hat that can't fit
hmm
his head, right? And he makes himself look like a fool and a clown, right? That's the only way to describe this guy.
yeah.
You know, you're
Flooding
going to
will be
fix flooding.
eliminated. Yeah, in
Flooding will
5
be
years'
eliminated. We're
time.
still waiting here. 10 years, we're still waiting. After the PNM come and gone, we're still waiting, right? You cannot fix these problems. You can only manage it, right? And continue to manage it, to a certain extent.
But
When you get
how
hit with
much
a
did
town,
he do? Comparing he had 10 years and the amount of money spent, what does he have to
the
show us
place
for
still
the money
flooding.
that's spent?
The place still flooding, right?
Increased flooding, not just
He
flood,
built a highway in
increased
Sangre
flooding.
Grande there that increased flooding. That
Correct.
that provides that
Even in
provides
Port
a
of
direct
Spain,
threat to citizen safety with the way it was built and has increased flooding.
right?
So if you
Also, let's
take,
look at look at Port of Spain. They're
so
trying
if
to
you
fix
take
a,
the reverse
a
logic,
flooding problem in South Key, Port of Spain, right? Implemented all these pumps and stuff right by the lighthouse there. And it compounded, it increased the flooding problem in South Key. And Gary, I have a video that I'll send you to that extent to support that, and they had to scrap the whole thing because, again, they didn't know what they were doing, how to address the problem, you know. I mean, it was beyond embarrassing.
This is scary because I was in Port Spain recently, and I in Pembroke Street, and there was some rain in the hills, like about 20 minutes, 20 minutes of rainfall, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That Pembroke Street became like a river. Rain has stopped. Pembroke Street like a river. Everything flowing down to Broadway and Salt Key. So I can imagine what is going on there. 20 minutes of rainfall. Come on, man.
And
You
that
got to
is not
break
a
it.
major rainstorm, eh? That's just a little drizzle. Imagine if you get hit with a 100-year storm, right? What's
That's
going to
not a
happen there?
storm. That's a normal rainfall falling on the
That's
hills
what I
in
just
St.
said,
Anne's Maraval
right?
area there, because the city is more or less dry, bright skies, some rains in the hill. And your street, Main Street, like Pembroke Street, is next to Frederick Street on one side and Abercrombie Street on the other side. It's like a gusher. You can't cross the street, even though you had a high top, you couldn't cross the street. You had to wait half an hour for that to subside and then take the hills because I'm scared to go downtown to go down on the beach. So I couldn't believe. Now I understand why they say Port of Spain floods so often. 20 minutes of rain? No, man. Give me a break.
Samaran, you had a minister there previously who tried to fix that problem and made it even worse.
Yeah?
Yes, made it even worse.
Well, boy.
So again, that is the same man who's criticizing now these fines, right? The increased fines, right? A man who with no credibility whatsoever, who says he's going to fix flooding in 5 years, right? And he had 10 years to do it and he couldn't even do it, right? That is the
He
same
made
guy
it
who's
worse.
criticizing, who's preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
The same guy. So again, what he's saying there, he has lost all credibility and it's just baseless. These guys don't know, they just want to make noise because they're in the opposition. And that they feel as though that is their duty to make noise and criticize everything. Right? They have no credibility whatsoever. And that's why I
That's
posted the
right.
newspaper article from the Newsday, right? Where he said he's going to fix flooding in 5 years. Are we still waiting? You got 10 years to do it, you could do it. Right? And I would try to post that video with the Port of Spain problem in South Key where they try to fix that. And they made it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So way, way above their league. So again, when people like this are talking and want to preach to the choir, you just sit down and you play the world's smallest violin. Right? The world's smallest violin, you just play it. Dr. Mirage?
so yeah. So you have about five big issues that you're dealing with. One is these laws that are coming to day after day, and there more will be coming again, and this will continue. So this issue of government trying to introduce new laws, every time they do that, they will have that same opposition, like it's the same group that is telling us the FUL is a bad deal, like the stand your ground law is a bad deal, like doubling the fine is a bad deal, like asking the maxi taxi. I don't. They look like bus to me. I don't know. They're so big. I mean, those are maxi taxis anymore. Those are buses. Those things. The maxi taxis is the 12 passengers and 10
No,
passengers. This one taking
these
about
are
30 or 40
25.
passengers. Those
These
are
are
buses.
25. These are 25 seater though.
Oh, 25 seater. Okay, they are buses, man. They are not maxi taxis. So those
No, they're
buses, people are saying that they should be consulted before you raise anything. So in other words, if we had consulted you, then it would have been okay. Because your merit disappears because you are arguing that we got this, and people have to pay more and the cost of this and the cost of that. Okay. And then you're saying we were not consulted. So it means that you should be consult. All you have to do is consult you, and everything will be fine. So why are you
That's
criticizing? Okay, our mistake. We didn't consult you. I never know
that's
government have to consult everybody when they want to make a law. Look,
And they have to
you
go for
that's
want to know. You
consultation.
want to know what the consultation should be. They change a coat of arms, which we know what is that about. We have seen them all whenever we go to visit, like in Manhattan or we go in Washington D.C. or we go into Miami. I think they have them in Miami somewhere as well. That those coat of arms, we know them since we were growing like kids. So we know when we see one what it looks like. So you want to change it. Okay. You want to change it. That should have been it's like changing the flag. That should have gone to a referendum. That should have been passing a law with 2/3 majority. You don't change it with a simple majority. Those are big changes. Changing the coat of
a
arms, changing the
constitution.
flag,
Yeah,
changing the
Doc,
constitution.
but
Those are big changes.
did you see, since you're the finance man, right? You look at, see what the Minister of Finance says. The cost is going to cost the country now, is a very large sum. And the government has decided chosen to delay on proceeding,
Okay, so the
and
other
that
side
is
is saying
causing some.
no matter what the cost is, Mr. Minister, this is a people thing. The
Yeah, but the
only
PNM did this for
instrument
Mama Guy. They
invented in
tried
the
to
world
Mama
in the last
Guy.
century was this great invention that you all are taking that is not all, this is not going on well with them. This is
So they
not
tried
going
to
on well
Mama
with
Guy
them.
a certain sector
The
of the party.
minister
And
had to tell them, well,
the PNM
what are they
pushes an
saving?
agenda
They're saying
that
you're saving
fund.
2 million. You're saving $2 million TT dollars. That's no saving. They said that's no kind of saving. That couldn't do any. There won't be a dent in your bucket. You talk about billion of dollars and you talk about saving $5 million. But for our pan to be all over the world, the number one instrument in the
That's
world,
close to
the
over
most
$100 million.
important instrument of all. The most important thing for us in Trinidad is the steel ban. Nothing is so important, and you're going to deprive us of that, Mr. Minister. I'm not voting for you again.
Yeah, but you see what
You
happened?
have,
We
you
don't
have to
deprive
answer these
anybody
things.
of it.
These things,
It-
these are the things that have win on the street. These are the street arguments you have
Yeah,
to win.
yeah, but Dr. Maraj,
Just
no
say,
one is being
you don't have
deprived.
money, but you have money to do other things, but you don't have money to change the emblem with the steel ban.
Right, and that is not a
How
high
come?
priority. That is not a
It
high priority to
is.
spend 100,
It
100
is. It
million.
is. To you, it is not, but to me, it is. To the average
Yep.
voter in Trinidad, it is. To the average person in Laventille and in Belmont, it is. To the average person in Arima, it is. To the fella in Dong Faizabad, maybe not. Guy down in Princestown, maybe not.
But at
But to
present, do
me,
we have
it
the
is.
money to do it? At present, do we have the money to do it?
Yes, let's give away something else. You're already raising the fine. You're raising the fine. You raise the money. You have a more justification to do it because you raise the money otherwise. So you can still do it. The point I'm making is that these things they're recording these things. These things are being recorded. And while the minister might say this and say that and say the next, you have to justify all of these things in public. That is my point from ever since. These things will be down to public opinion where you must win. If you're
But
losing,
it was just prolonged. Eh? It wasn't canceling. It was just pushed off to a later date when
that is
when the
what they
funds are
say,
available.
but yeah, but people don't want to hear that. They want to hear that a reason that you don't have money, how you have for this and you have for that, and you postpone it. This is an important thing. This is like better you postpone the carnival than you postpone this. Because this is so important to some elements of society. And these are influential elements of society. And they will use it to create mileage out of it. I'm not, you all wouldn't be able to answer these things. This is for the guys and them at that level. I mean, on the street level, we have to make the argument for them. But they have to make it at the macro level. They have to make that argument so that they will help us on the street, like they help us in UNC, UNCCA, UNC, USA. And when we made this argument, there's no sense we make it here, and the guy that minister is not making that properly. Yes, oh, we don't have money there. Yeah, but you have money to do other things. You have money to have to put soldiers out to join the American army to have practices. It doesn't cost Trinidad anything. It must have cost them a few dollars. I'm sure it's not free. There must have been some way to exaggerate this, whatever the
Well,
other side is
well, you
saying.
know what I would
So
say, Dr. Maraj? I would
yes,
say we took that $100 million and we were
yes,
able to recommission the Cuba Children's Hospital. Right, that's
right.
money well spent versus putting a steel by in a coat of arms.
Right,
Because
and the
now
guy
everyone can use that hospital.
and the steel band will never tell you that is not so important as changing the coat of arm with the steel band. This is our culture. This is Trinidad and Tobago we're
Well,
talking about.
well
The
then,
hospital is only for children down in Central somewhere.
well, no problem. Here's the next argument. The Steelban
Yeah.
Institute, that building, that pan, that home for pan. Where is that now? You have a picture of that? That is like a unfinished structure, dilapidated and neglected there.
The pan was a mama guy Dr. Rowley threw out there because he didn't do nothing for the people, right?
Correct.
Okay, and that is what he threw them
Gary, look
to
at the
give them
structure where
something
they
to
have built
hold.
for pan,
Yeah.
right? It's an
They
unfinished,
raise politics
dilapidated.
now, and they're pushing the
Yeah.
agenda that pan it only belongs to one group of people in the country and one race of people. You understand? Not that
Well,
other race of people involved with pan in Trinidad.
Well, Gary, here's something. Let's be a little more specific here. What the PNM is saying and implying is that we, the UNC, are saying that it's an African instrument, right? And that guy, Obika, what's his name? What's his name? Right? He's implying he's
yeah.
using race there to divide us,
Mhm,
right? And they want
correct.
to now say that this is an African instrument and the UNC is depriving them of that, right? And that is wrong and that is racist.
Again, Mr. Obika could speak for himself, but I don't think he's that kind of guy you're referring to. So let's be careful.
You don't know the guy.
Well,
You
you
haven't
gotta read
seen
the
his contact
article.
recently.
Yeah,
You
I don't know
know.
how
I
much
posted
I
the
don't know how
article.
much he changed from. I don't know how much he changed from what he used to be, but that guy is still one of the lesser kind of a guy like that you all are referring to. So
He pulled up a very surprising stunt after all that the
it,
prime minister did to him. He
yeah,
went.
he might have an axe to grind, but he's not one of those kind. But
Well,
that's for you
Well,
all to decide.
Well, you
I'm
know
not
what?
defending
From
him. I'm not defending
got,
nobody.
what I got from the article, right?
Mhm.
He's trying to create some division, right? And
a
he's
racial
implying,
division.
right, that the UNC is
Mm.
racist and we're using pan, and it's a classic example, right? And I mean to say,
Well,
for someone
But,
of that stature,
but
he shouldn't go down that road.
but Ken and Doc, that has always been the PNM fallback situation. That race card, as I tell you again, one little strike of the match in the next general election can cause a swing if we're not careful. So
yeah,
look at CPAP, look at
Cement.
CPAP, that was branded
Why change it?
and
If it is working for them, why do they have to change it? They would not. This
right,
has been
and
working for them
that's
for
correct. Doc.
many years.
So people has to be sensitized. That's what I'm saying. People has to become more sensitized and aware of that strategy with the PNM has been using all along, that race card, that right fig, that
Well,
banana, from that Calcutta ship, all these
yeah,
things, and they come down to URP and CPEP. It's depriving black, single mothers and so on. They ain't talking about the criminals yet. They're just talking about the deprivation of you have been,
And
the
compared to Mrs. B, say so. Between which government did more for single struggling mothers between the PNM and the UNC? Which prime
you
minister
Exactly.
did
know,
the
Exactly.
most? That don't
and
matter.
not only that, Gary, the same breadfruit man is saying that we are discriminating against his constituents. They always subtly play this race card, to give them some sort of mind, because right now they have nothing. It's literally nothing to fall back on. Zero.
Exactly, so on.
You,
Exactly. And they have
you,
to play. That's the
you
only
know,
trump card they have. And
yeah,
that's the
the
best
race
card they
card
have
is on.
in their hand. Right?
That's the
That's the hand
only
that
card
dealt,
they have.
and that's the best card they have. Right?
Yep.
And I mean, they say, look, the guy, what is his name? Obika or whatever. He was a guy in the UNC and he jumped ship. Right?
Yeah.
So he now have to align himself with their agenda and their tone. Right? And that is playing
All
the
right.
racial, singing this racial tone and trying to play this racial card. Right? And that's the hand that they play.
You
And
see, so the
he will fight.
URP
He will,
is the same thing they play that card. For the Spain
and I'm
South,
not that I'm making up anything or reading this from a comic book. The man wrote an article there, and I posted the article. Gary, you have it, and I underlined certain things in the article. Right, you can see how he's using race to leverage. Right, and that is a very very dangerous game because you want to divide. It shows that your objective is to divide people. And similar as you mentioned just now, the PNM uses race, right, as a tool, as an instrument
And
to get
they were
ahead.
never held.
So again, let us talk about what they have done
Yeah,
for
they
their
were never
members of
held
their
accountable for their
constituency.
actions. They were never held accountable for their
And
actions.
Gary, what have they done for their member of their constituency? Nothing whatsoever. These people have remained at one level, right, for decades, for generations. And all they do is play politics with them. Again, you keep them stupid and you divide them and you conquer them, right? Because you don't want anyone from there below them to question them. What is this here?
So here, this is a body that was found in Sandy Grande, asking for assistance in locating relatives.
Okay. What's the guy's name? I can't hardly see it.
Devdat Richie Mahabir. They found that body in Sandy Grande. Let me see where the comments are here. Yeah.
I hope, I hope, maybe, I don't know how, was he murdered or is it homicide or something?
Well, I guess they found the body, so let's see.
you have to do
So
it.
that's the hunter search and rescue people are asking for assistance in.
Those fellas doing a tremendous job, eh?
Yeah.
Hunter search and rescue. We always have to give them a shout out here, Gary. They go above and beyond. They even operate better, more efficient and more effective than the police service.
Definitely, again. I
And
think
they use
so.
their own resources. Remember,
should-
Suman, they use their own resources
Yeah.
and time, eh?
Yeah.
They're not getting paid for it, right? All volunteer-driven effort. So the point is, we're closing off the year 2025, and I think the homicide rate is 360, as documented in the Guardian newspaper there, right? So that is a dramatic reduction from last year,
Versus
624.
624. Yeah.
Yep. That is a record-breaking number, 624 last year from under the PNM government.
But Ken and Doc, they wouldn't highlight that in the press as a major
And they wouldn't do it.
achievement.
They wouldn't do a
They will
comparison.
never do that. They will
They
never
would
do
not
that.
do a comparison same period last year to this year. They would not do it.
They will
Because
never do
again,
that.
the newspaper is very biased, in my opinion, right? And they want to sell a story that could benefit them and their supporters and their people and their interest groups and so forth.
So you see, this is again the reason why Dr. Maharaj was saying that bullhorn effect. You need to be members of the UNC need to be on public television.
I hope to see them at the end of the year to do a year-end review, and we mention these numbers and we compare it and we lay out the statistics there for the nation to see. the dramatic
And
reduction, because that's a big
the
achievement. That's a huge achievement.
huge achievement. And not only that, you can also justify why the state of emergency helped in this regard. You can also justify why the relationship with the Southern Command, what the impact this has had on it as well.
Right?
You
Correct.
know,
Good point.
so
Good
you
point.
can justify a number of things by being on the television and laying out the facts, not to mention the 42% reduction. That translates into 220 lives less this year versus last year. This is the biggest reduction maybe in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. A 1 year drop in crime
And
after
and I
sugar.
think the look ahead will be to compound on that success moving forward, right?
Yes, correct.
Strategizing, implementing, measuring the success, the results across the board, improving the quality of life for every citizen in Trinidad
You
and Tobago.
see, there's one thing in government is statistics. That is, numbers doesn't lie at all. You can twist the statistics, but the numbers remain the numbers,
That's correct,
right?
Suman. That's
And
very
the
correct.
numbers does not lie. And you want to work with numbers, not by hearsay. So I don't want to hear the Ministry of Agriculture telling me he wants to reduce food import bill by 5 million over the next 5 years. Yeah, but tell me how the hell you're going to do that. You know, that's what I want to hear.
What's the
And,
plan?
and
What's
then
the plan?
all this same thing with the crime and this thing. You know, these are the measures I am going to implement, and this is the result which I'm
It,
hoping to achieve after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years.
it
Make it structured so we can all see the trend on it. We can also see, incorporate new suggestions as the case may be, and so on, and
right.
say
And
why one
Suman
is
to
working, why one is not
yeah.
working, why this thing is working better than the other thing.
Yeah, and Suman, to
Yes,
get a clearer picture of that, we have to get data, we have to get numbers, right?
I,
Other than
I've
that is
been
just noise. We need
I've
to
been
see
counting
data
these
and to see it
things.
working. Once we see the numbers, then we'll know whether the plan is working or the strategy is working.
Correct.
Like for example, if we look at this, if we close up this year with 360 homicides compared to last year, we can now do a comparison and say there
Yes.
was a 40+% reduction, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever that percentage is,
244
right?
less deaths
Compared to a
in one
historic
year time.
625, 624.
Yeah, 244.
Yeah, yeah. So again, we need
So
to see numbers. We need to see numbers to support
that's
what
right.
the plan is, to see that it's working, right? And we'll continue to revise it. We're moving into this next year, the year, following year, etc. Right? But again, at the end of the day, the quality of life for the citizens are going to continue to improve as we do our job effectively.
Nice. I would like to see these things happening. Don't talk just for talking's sake. Give the evidence, give the figures, give the data to show what's been done and what your plans are for the upcoming year and what you're hoping to achieve at the end of next year. Hey, it's 244 less murders this year versus last year. Hey, I want to see another 200 the next year, less, 200 murders less. So bring it down to 180 for me or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
yeah.
This is what you're shooting
Well,
at
that also
eventually.
has to be itemized, eh? Whether it's home
Yes,
invasions, we can't
yes,
have
oh, correct,
200
correct,
homicides and then we have 1,000 home invasions,
correct.
right?
So it
We have to
shows,
bring down that
right?
all these numbers across the board. We have to itemize
That's
that,
what,
break it down, right? And
yes,
again, scrub
like
the data.
as I say in financial, is a line items.
Correct.
Every line item in a budget also, it has to be evaluated, justified. The expenditure has to be, justified why you're spending so much in this particular area versus X amount in the another area. These things one has to be laid out to the public. Let the public make their own assessment. You have to, what Dr. Maraj is saying here is that what is what's it called, the liberalization just now about the building materials? How many of
Yes,
us know what the liberalization of building materials are if he doesn't explain what it is to the layman, out there? You and I may know, but what about the other people? Does that mean anything to a lot of people? Yes or no? No.
Suman, can you help us interpret a little bit what your interpretation is about it?
Liberalization really means, but Doc knows better, but it means freeing up the system, you know, freeing up the system of exports, construction material. It's there. You don't put no bottlenecks or pain
So
points into
they
a
kind of
system.
they're freeing up all the PNM has a tendency. I remember when George Chambers came out with the ECO form,
Hmm.
right? And how that complicated thing you had to fill out a form for each item, and you complicated the system, and that created
So
havoc, right?
that it's bottlenecks. You're breaking the bottlenecks. Freeing up what they call in business now is the pain points. They refer to that's a new terminology. You're making it pain free rather than painful. So liberalization means opening it up and so on.
So
It all
you
depends on
basically you're basically making an ease of business here, ease of doing business.
ease.
That's
That's
correct.
Yeah,
what.
That's
That's what
correct.
yes.
one way.
About it. The ease
That's
of
one way of.
exporting construction material. So all the bottlenecks for unable to export is much more easier to do it now because you want to
Yes.
export. So therefore, you're
Yeah.
exporting cement, you export the wood, you export whatever they have. Trinidad, they're exporting.
Example.
And now some of you,
A good example is aggregate in Tobago. Now, Tobago
Mm.
has excellent, call it blue metal agreement. The government, Kamala Prasad has gone there to liberalize that system where Tobago can export its own material and earn foreign exchange because Guyana wanted to buy hundreds of tons of this so-called high-end material, but they did not have an export license. And that could
And,
only be given by the Minister of Finance in Trinidad.
and
Listen
Samad,
what I say.
Samad, just to interject a little bit there. That
Yeah.
material in is that Studley Park or something? Studley
Study,
Park?
yeah, it's called spelled
Right.
Study Park.
So that
Yeah.
material meets a certain criteria, the CBR for road
Yes.
construction, the California
Construction.
bearing ratio, right?
Any
So
construction.
that is
I
why
mean,
that is a very precious, very highly sought of material,
we
right?
refer
For
to
road
it in
construction.
Trinidad. Can we refer to it? I don't know if you know the terminology as blue metal. So,
Yeah, I
because
heard
of
the
that
name
blue
already.
metal in Tobago, you had to get special blasting license, which was strictly controlled by the Ministry of Finance in Trinidad. So the PNM suffered the THA, this past THA, or the current THA that is, over the past 4 years by not granting them a license. Honorable PM went to Tobago last month and said, hey, look, here is the spell license to do blasting for this material. You guys arrange your own marketing, earn your own foreign exchange. And left them there with that. But why did the
So-
PNM suffer and did not grant them that license? Why that has to be bought under the government of Trinidad? I mean, so to say, the parliament here in Trinidad. Yet
because
on
because you are progressive and they are not.
correct. So, you know,
Complete the story. Yeah, complete the
Well,
story.
it comes back to the
Why they
headline,
want to
yeah.
drink and why they
Bureaucracy
couldn't.
and red tape involved, right?
Right.
that is the
So
liberalization by making it.
this is why we elected you.
Yes.
This is why you got
So,
elected.
right, and you're delivering the results. You're delivering
That's
the
right.
results. You know, you're
Tell them.
seeing it. And there is an election in the 12th of next month in Tobago. So the
Yeah.
timing was nice. You
Yeah.
know, the
So-
airport
so-
is
so-
still,
Right. So wherever this minister wrote this or whoever wrote this, I hope when I read that article, I would hear these kinds of things, explaining in details what the problem was and how we addressed it,
how
and this
you
is the result.
how you resolve it. Correct. And that
Right.
is what liberalization is. But as an
Right.
economist like myself, I know what it
Yeah.
is, but how many
Right.
people, how many of PNM supporters know what that
Right.
means? Or how
Right.
many of them care? Do they care what he say? That will mean
But
nothing. He might say,
not important. The steel bar is more important. They having
oh,
it on the
that is
coat of
it.
arms, that's more important.
That is that is the
yeah,
criteria.
yeah.
That is the criteria, you see.
Making
And
money,
this is,
they only, you see, you have two kinds of people, those who want to run the bread and those who want to improve on the bread. You got to make the
yes,
bread before you can run the damn bread. Let's make bread and
correct.
then we go run it. They want to
Then we
run
could
bread
run
without
it.
making. They have to
Well,
teach the
that's it.
bread way to. Yeah. So
Yes.
you all talking about statistics a while ago. Let me just, because I want to get to one point before we leave tonight also. It has to do with what you're all talking about. We can spend a lot of time on this crime and criminology and all those body cam and those kind of things. My thing about body cam. If you don't make it, don't ask for it because you all don't make nothing here. If you make the body cam, we'll take it. If you don't make it, forget it. So that's my starting point because you talk about foreign exchange. And I started I started pull back whenever you talk about foreign exchange. So 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 you talked about statistics a while ago. So I looked at this from because I really wanted to have an idea what the issues are in the Caribbean that they're talking about a zone of peace and the zone of war, and Trinidad is taking. So if this was published by the population review, I think it's somewhere database, online database, but the commonly out of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. The crime
See,
rate moderate in the world. The murder rate of 10 for every 10, I think it was every 100,000. 49.3 in Jamaica, they have the highest in the world. Haiti is 41.2, Ecuador 45.7, Trinidad the same, 45.7. That is murder rate in the among to I think it was 10,000 out of 10,000. In 2000 we were at 9.01. Now we are at 45. Well, you know the story behind that. But here's the deal. It seems as though that arguments being made by Donald Trump and Kamala and those who are talking about the zone of war rather than zone of peace have a good point because look, you know what's the murder rate in Turks and Caicos Island? 76 out of
yes,
10,000. You know
yes,
what's the murder rate in St. Vincent the Grenadine?
yes,
51. You know
correct.
what's
I looked at it,
you-
Doc. I looked at it. I
right?
saw it.
Right? U.S.
But
Virgin Islands, 50.
yeah,
So you're talking
but
about zone of peace? This is
yeah,
a
but
zone of war.
one thing that stands out though.
Yes.
Think of okay, with all this high rate in Turks and Caicos, U.S. Virgin Island, St. Kitts, and so on. Yet tourism is growing more in these countries than that so-called peaceful area. So
Yes, because
look at the
you know what
corollary.
happened? Because
Look at the corollary. Oh,
right,
does it
but
mean?
here
Does it
is the
mean?
thing.
Yeah,
Do you ever know that they don't make profit on these in the tourism? How much money they make? They're still borrowing. They still don't have money
right.
because the tourists come. They go to the seashore. They live in a hotel that
Well,
is 5-star hotel, and they go back to
well,
the island. They don't go out on the street. Then when the
let
crime is
me
happening, they're not going there.
Let me tell you one thing. Montego Bay is completely secluded. There is no, you as
Right,
a Jamaican can't just
right.
go in there because you are Jamaican.
That's
You're
right.
restricted.
That's right.
You're restricted.
That's right.
In
Right.
Antigua, you go in Antigua. I'll give you a good example. In
Yeah.
2009, so Antigua was booming with tourists. Booming with tourists. But when they did the statistics, they found that out of every dollar earned from tourism, 94 cents was leaked out to buy back foreign stuff. So you were only benefiting 6 cents on every dollar, US dollar that was spent. So again, you look at the data. When you look at the data, it says a lot of things. Hey, Antigua was showed in the world reports, CTO reports, that Antigua enjoyed a 50% jump in tourism. But does it count as say, well, how much of that was leakage? What is the
No,
leakage factor?
no, make nothing.
94% of
Nothing.
every cent you earn, and only 6% was earned in the country. So you see, these
Yeah.
statistics you
No,
have to
no,
take
no.
with a grain of salt
So
and the
let me
data.
continue with that. So let me continue with this argument that I'm going to make because so we had I always talk about the federation. So I know some of you don't know what it is all about. We
I
had a
have no
federation
idea.
here with all those countries together. Jamaica decided to have a referendum and pull out of the federation. Because they're talking about CARICOM and zone of peace and zone of war. And this lady doesn't like CARICOM and blah, blah, blah. But you all have a whole bad history among yourself anyway. Why the hell you don't talk about that? No, you don't. So the Jamaica had a referendum and they pulled out of the federation. And then Trinidad replied, Trinidad had no referendum. Trinidad government said that if you leave 1 out of 10, then you remain the 0 because there's 1-0. Therefore, you take the 1 out and therefore you're left with 0. So Trinidad said we out also. Why do you think they're pulling out? They're pulling out because they find that they had to share the wealth. And Jamaica didn't want to do it, number one. Number two, then Trinidad said, well, if you don't want to do it, and I had to shoulders responsibility, I'm pulling out also. Although many people said Trinidad should have sticking around and continue to live because there's a kind of love relationship with the small islands and Trinidad and Tobago, like I said in the previous times. So come 2009, I think it was 1983, there was when there's an invasion of Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad didn't take any part. Trinidad said it not in that. All the other countries, and Guyana also, they had their own problem. Guyana was Marxist, whatever they were. They never discussed too much.
But on that time.
Right, they were Marxists, and they didn't have much to do with what was happening in the Caribbean. But Trinidad was the one who said they're not going along with CARICOM. Well, they didn't have CARICOM that time. Whatever they had, the West Indian CARIFTA, I think they had CARIFTA. So they get together, the coalition of the willing, and they went and the Yankee, the president in America, and they throw the Cubans over there in, and therefore, up to the Grenada remain into the arms of what is what they're trying to do in Venezuela now. So the question of we were not always in cahoots. They're making songs of this prime minister is the only lady who doing such a thing. We always have living happy and go you kumbaya together. No, Trinidad at that time it was under Chambers who said we are not involving ourselves because every country has to stand on their own by themselves. What they do is responsible. They like to interfere. No outside interference in any country's affairs. That was Trinidad's argument. In the Federation, Trinidad says this Jamaica leaving, we leaving too. But Trinidad left on their own. The PNM decided to do that, not a referendum. Jamaica had a referendum. So coming back to the same thing here, we back to where we are now. Trinidad is telling them, no, we have a problem. You also have the problem. You all don't want to admit it. Like the statistics I just showed you. We have a problem, and therefore we have to deal with our problem. And your problem may not be as ours because we are the border of this situation. Therefore, we have to take care of ourselves first. So this is the new century. And when Trump leaves, I was saying the other when Mr. Trump leaves, America will not be returning back to what it used to be before. America will continue along a certain path, such as every man for himself. Trinidad have to seek for themselves. That was my thesis all along. We have to fix our own house. You see what Guyana is doing? Guyana is fixing their house in order. Trinidad is doing the same. Jamaica is doing pretty much the same thing. Everybody for themselves. So let's talk about CARICOM. Those PNM people will have to stay in the background. They ain't the all drums. They in last century. They're not dealing with what we're dealing with right now. The reality is they're waiting for the Democrats to come back in power, and therefore everything will be nice again. It will not happen. Whatever the Democrats come back to do, they would hardly do much changes over what Mr. Trump is doing. They change a few things. Most of the things will continue, and every man for himself. You see what India is doing? India is saying, you know what? I have to see about my business myself, and just standing up to all of them. But India have everybody will be India friend. India and everybody want to be friendly with India these days.
Right now, that is it.
India is on the right path. The world.
In fact, they're trading. India is a very unique situation in that they're bypassing the US dollar to pay for oil. They're paying it in local currency. Paying Russia in rupees.
Right.
China is paying Russia in yuan for their thing. Brazil and India is trading and they're exchanging liras for rupees and vice versa. So it's a what?
And by the way, I think they make body cam in India. If you want to know, I think they make body cam there. So think about that also. If you all want to go body cam, that's a place to go. And they might even give you a few hundred free. They might tell people how much you need anyway. So they might give it to you. So that makes my point for you all anyway to about the foreign exchange thing. So the world to come that we talk to come, it, don't think we're going back to no kind of when Biden was there and this because this PNM thing we're going to go back to those days or Venezuela. The new horizon, it will not be the same. Out of all of this, there'll be a new Venezuela, a new Trinidad and Tobago, a new world, a new India, a new America, a new everything, a different. This is not the global anymore. Every man for himself, looking inward,
Correct.
take care of yourself first. Then everybody. So I told you already, we regressing to CARICOM. There's a regression. That's a backwardness. We went backward. We should not ignore CARICOM. We should recognize the market and know we have interests together. But we cannot say, well, okay, well,
Hold on a second there, gentlemen. We have Dr. Kurt May, who is joining us, UNCPRO.
hello. I must have been here listening.
And I could.
Hello.
Welcome,
let me
Dr. Mayo.
stop and then you will continue. So the world to come will not be the same world we are living in. This is going to change. After all this is settled, Venezuela will not be the same. Trinidad will not be the same. CARICOM will be different. And therefore, we have to prepare for a new order that is going to come. And everything the Prime Minister, Mogi will talk in a minute. The Prime Minister is taking the bull by the horn. She's seen things more than maybe more than us, more than a lot of people, because we are laying the groundwork. Is either we win or we lose. But she's setting the right path. We have to go in that direction because there's where the world will be. Trinidad will be there tomorrow. Today it is different. Tomorrow it will be even more different. So we'll take it from there. So Mr. Mago, Dr. Mago, how are you? Go ahead.
Dr. Mayo? Kurt, you hearing us? Oh, okay. Hold on a second. He's joining. Are you hearing us, Dr. Mayo?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So, let's see here. So you were joined twice. Yeah. Okay. So can you respond? I think I don't know if you heard Dr. Mirage what he was saying there, but we was giving support behind our Prime Minister putting TNT first. And
no, I wasn't able to hear what he said.
Yeah.
So I'm just joining the conversation right now.
Yes.
In a nutshell, all justifying what the actions of the Prime Minister vis-a-vis our zone of peace. There's no zone of peace. Or vis-a-vis the increase in the traffic not fines, but the penalties associated with it. And of course, the comment of the Iron Lady of the Caribbean. So those are, we will give endorsement to that side of things.
Right.
Basically, we're saying that the Prime Minister is making the right decision and in putting TNT first.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well.
Let me say, I was laying the groundwork for the zone of war that we find ourselves in. And I was quoting the statistics, but the murder rate in the smaller countries within this nucleus, 100-mile radius. That what is happening with quoting the data. And then I was saying that we are going in a certain direction, and we have to go irrespective of what is happening with the opposition or whoever is opposing us. But it looks like what the Prime Minister is laying down the groundwork. People like yourselves, this is the correct way. We have to stand behind it. Sink or swim. We have to go forward because the world to come will be different than the one last year and the year before. After all this is settled, when Jamaica, when Venezuela is settled, when America is settled, when all this is settled, the new dynamic will be different than it is now. So we got to prepare ourselves for it. That was the point I was making when they came in. Go ahead.
Correct. I mean, I've been watching the media and social reactions and social media, and it's quite incredible the kind of reactions. Negative reactions people and the exaggerations people are having to the increase in traffic fines. I mean, it's you're right as a citizen to be upset and maybe not like it, I suppose. But that's your right. But for people to go to the extreme that, oh well, I'd rather the PNM there where we had a historic murder rate, of 624 last year, and Rowley said it could be higher. So make the murder rate double again to 700. Have little children, be shot by automatic weapons as collateral damage while playing or at school. These are the things that used to happen under the PNM. Callously let 4 divers just die in a pipeline. The gas price has gone up, and they say stop eating. I have to stop eating macaroni pie and cooking a coal pot and all kinds of foolishness, and that's the kind of thing people will say that they would prefer because you have to pay a $2,000 fine. It's very ridiculous. People they need to be able to put things in perspective. We should put things into perspective for them, because apparently, unfortunately, they lack that ability to understand and to remember where we came from and how bad it is, and what is needed to transform Trinidad and Tobago, because this is a radical government that Kamla Persad-Bissessar is leading. She's shaking up all the things that has, as she said, made us a lawless dump, right? That is what Trinidad and Tobago has become. And if we really want to turn things around, then we do have to take these actions. I mean, when you look at the traffic fines and compare them to what is done in Barbados, let alone a place like Singapore, of course. But just Barbados, their fines are much, much higher than these fines that we've put in place. It's and traffic fine. These things are they're calling them taxes. These are not taxes. A fine is not a tax, and neither is on alcohol. What's the other thing? They talked about speeding tickets, alcohol, and there was another one that they were complaining about. But these are all discretionary taxes. It's really based on your behavior and your use. It's not like a property tax that applies to everybody, or raising fuel prices 6 times and applying to everybody. It's very sad, but it's the truth, and we have to deal with it. We can't just complain that there's this double standard that the PNM, have been allowed to get away with mashing up the country, and when it's time to fix it, there's a pushback. But we have to be prepared for that, and we are prepared for that, because the country is going to be better, and the law-abiding citizens of the country will see an improvement. Remember, the PNMs, the PNM are of the view that they'd rather suffer under the PNM than prosper under the UNC, right? So you have to remember that is their agenda, that is their ideology. They would rather, and they've said this themselves, not every PNM supporter, but a large number of PNM supporters have said and endorsed this view, that they would rather be misled by the PNM than properly led by the UNC. So, and it's quite disturbing that many of our supporters keep falling for it. There's the same UNC supporters that said we would never win with Kamla Persad-Bissessar as our leader, or the UNC would never see government again, or the UNC keeps losing, I will never win again. It's very sad that so many of our people have been so beat down, and they don't have a belly for struggle. Many of the vocal people, but on the other hand, I don't want to just complain, because on the other hand, we have our supporters that have stood by through thick and thin, through when the rest of the country insulted our leader, insulted our party, had said the worst things about us, and our core base has stood by us in every in every peril, in every calamity, in every time it seemed that we were down and out. We did have a core, but too many of these fair weather followers come and make a lot of noise. But thankfully, we do have a strong base that has taken us through thick and thin, and that's who we rely on. And the Prime Minister is really visionary and taking this country into a whole new future.
Yeah.
You know, Kurt,
Okay.
first of all, I want to thank those young people that came on board to support Mrs. Bisesa, because I guess most likely those are the young people that benefited from the laptop program. I would see those young people, between 2010, 2015 period, I could see definitely that they came on board, and some of them told me that themselves. But coming back to the fines and the lawlessness, we have to be forceful in enforcing law and order, and whether it's through traffic fines, and and I was saying earlier, Lord, what we need is the police out there, the patrols. They have to be consistent. They cannot be hit and miss. The laws don't stand up by itself. So these are some of the things that we want to see with the TTPS. The TTPS has a lot of improvement to do, and we are hoping that we see these things, under our government. People voted for us to change the status quo, not to maintain the status quo. Otherwise, they'd have kept the same government they had if they were happy with the way things were going. So the few naysayers there that who's trying to pull down our government, we have to be vigilant on our platform here. And I try to get you and many others to come on board as much as they can, to raise their voice. The channel is always available. So we want to.
Let me send you. Can you send your listeners a link, or your viewers on YouTube a link to vote on a poll? Can you do that?
Send it to me. Let me see how I can manage it.
Because there's a poll online right now that someone has put up.
I have the UNC USA Facebook page also.
Right, so you can put it up there. So I sent it to you on WhatsApp. So there's a poll saying, as if an election is to be called now, who will you vote for, Kamla Prasad Bisesa or Penelope Beckles? So let's let your listeners have their say on that poll.
Is that the link you just sent me there on Facebook?
Yeah.
All right, so I will
On
post
WhatsApp,
that.
I sent it to you.
Yeah, but it's by Kingsley.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. All right, so there's a voting poll. Okay, all right, so I'll post that out.
Okay. All right.
So
Right.
I was making the point, Dr. Mego, that all of these things, because you see, the pattern is like these laws are draconian, and it seems as though our government is coming down as though we are not for the people on the street, like we're not really looking after the interests of the average person, if you know what I mean. So, because in the end, we have to win the battle at the level where public opinion matters. And that you on my public opinion just now, which you were talking about having the survey. So all these nice things you all are doing is some of us might understand it well, but is the average man, your voter, starting with your voter, do they understand what we mean by liberalization of the exports? Are we getting the message, or are we just talking in the sky? So my point is that we have to win the public opinion, because that is where we're going to win the votes. And I am concerned about 5 years from now. We have to, whatever we're doing right now must be towards that second 5 years, because there's no sense all this great work is being done and we have to go backwards, as we all know we don't want that to happen. So you are the PRO, your job is cut out for you. You have a lot to do yourselves. I don't know if you want us to get the team from up here to do a scientific poll in the West Indies, in Trinidad and Tobago. But we could talk about it some other time. Maybe we could get the boys. They already have a list. I don't know how updated their lists are to do a good scientific polling and to find out the public opinion turn out to be good. Perhaps you could do that at the end of the first year while you're in office. So I don't know
But
if you all
Doc,
are on
first
that
of all,
track.
what we should do is we should not allow the PNM to dictate public opinion. We should remain fully engaged on this channel here to, alongside Dr. Mayhew. So, Dr. May, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, doing the opinion polling is useful, of course. So you can send the information, and I can forward it to the party and the party leadership. I know we've also been doing opinion polls as well within the party. But yeah, I mean, these things are important. But equally as important is to stand up and lead. We must listen, and we also must lead. And every time the PNM says jump, we mustn't fall for that and jump. Right? That is what the UNC has done too many times in the past.
All right.
And what we did in the past few years is when they said, "Oh no, you can't say that. You can't say empty the clip, or you can't say, or that language is too strong, or you can't call these lawyers eat a food lawyers," and where every time they would uh, push back on maybe some very colorful language that the prime minister would use, or a policy, to stand your ground and whatnot.
Or twist it around to suit their fancy.
We must stand our ground, and people will respect, us when we stand our ground on principle, right? And when we do so for the right thing and move forward, rather than every time someone gets nervous, we flinch. If we have assessed these things and are doing the right thing, we must be able to justify it, and we must communicate it to the people, of course. That's very important. You have to keep the line of communication open, and that's what we strive to do.
So I was getting back to the point, gentlemen, Cook, is that the PNM has mass media, and the PNM has their activists out there, and our job is if we sit here and we don't say much, we will allow them to intoxicate the ground with false information. So even as much as public opinion matters, we have to sway public opinion by the information that we count, how we are counterattack the misinformation. So that critical role between us and you, Dr. Mayo, as you lead the media team, in that we have to be swift on counterattacking the misinformation that comes out of the PNM to sway public opinion. So while public opinion matters, we have to make sure the public is educated to make the right opinion. That was my point.
Yes, because we have to win the public opinion.
That's correct.
Because we
I'm
win
going to have
elections.
to leave you at this moment, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Kurt. Thank you for
Yeah,
joining us. We'll be in
I'm going to have
touch.
to leave you at this moment, but we will keep in touch. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
All right, thank you
have
very
a good
much.
night,
Thank you very much.
Take care, Kirk. Have a good night.
and I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye now.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
So we want to thank Dr. Mayo for jumping in there for a few minutes with us, and that's all it takes. We don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we are live. A minister could jump in for 5 minutes. And and in and out. We don't have to hold him here for 2 hours. So
Right.
So this is the point I wanted to make. So I asked Cook to jump in for 5 minutes. He did, and he altered his busy schedule, and he came in and gave us a few minutes there, and that is what matters, and we deeply appreciate it.
That's
So.
good enough. That's good enough for us, Scotty.
So the public opinion thing he mentioned is an important thing to have, and I was wondering if they wanted. I have not spoken to one of these fellas up here who do the NACTA polling, but because I don't know how well they're behaving in the Trinidad these days.
That
But
knocked up Pauline fella. Let me tell you
yeah,
something.
No, Bishram.
Don't waste time with Vishnu Bishram. Okay, Vishnu
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Bishram
and I was
is
just,
an
but
opportunist.
that's why I
he
feel I
has
was just
an
the arrow
agenda.
first.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
He has
I know.
his
he was
agenda,
not in
guys.
favor of Mrs. Bisesa. He did nothing supportive, and I have a lot of concern with him, so I have dumped Vishnu Visram, as far as I'm concerned, opinion and polling, and its polling was incorrect according to this to how we leading up to win this election, or the election. I must say again, I must congratulate the young people who came on board and ambushed public opinion. They ambushed the PNM in this general election. They stood up for themselves. This was a real, how to say,
Game changer.
a Trojan
That's what
horse.
they call a game
Yeah,
changer. Yeah.
yeah. This was a Trojan horse here, real here, mission. So I have to congratulate those young people in particular who came on board with us and change the game with us here. And and as well, Dr. Maharaj, you're talking
And
about public opinion, but public opinion can be too determined by the right information if we remain steadfast and consistent in bringing that right information, so the public opinion and decision, is made in the right way.
Do you know
on the
if the
right
party,
side, I
that's a
endorse
question
that.
for him. Do you know if the party is harnessing that the young people you're referring to? Are they harnessing them?
Well, listen, Dr. Maharaj, the way I see it here, we are part of the party to an extent, the extended part of the party. So we don't have to wait for certain things being done there. We can do it here. And this is what I want to encourage here.
Yeah, but no, but they have to do something
While
there
the
too.
party is overwhelmed with the first year of government and everybody's fully engaged in trying to govern, by the time the next election come, this team must be a bigger team. It must be
See,
a
that's,
more.
that's what I'm telling you, Gary. The parliamentary arm have their work cut out for them. We are not talking about them. We're talking about the role. Now, that was the question I wanted to ask him just now before he leave.
Yeah,
What is
but
the role of
you can always message him. You have the number. You can message him and talk
what
with
is
him.
the role of the party between election? They have things to do on the ground. You see those young people you're referring to? We must have them occupied in
Yeah,
some
Doc.
kind
But
of
what I'm
stuff.
saying to you, beside on the program, you can reach out to him privately and talk with him whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the people on the board, what need to be done on the
Yeah, but
street.
I'm saying you could reach out to
The
Dr.
street level.
Mayhew and get your answers and give you advice.
So we have got those people. We got those same people you're referring to. We can't lose them. We have to keep a bill. We have to bill on them, bill
Yeah.
with them.
And Dr. Maharaj, I
And if
think
you
we spoke
notice, the
about
prime
that.
minister is putting everything in place to
Yeah.
create a future for them, and they will realize exactly what she's doing when they start to benefit from it.
Because they have to bill, and
Yeah.
that alone is not enough to take you the next time around. They
Yeah,
alone
Doc,
will
but what
not
I'm
be.
Definitely,
saying to you,
definitely.
when you
That's
create
You
the
have to
good.
jobs
bill on
that these
them.
young people need, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
When you create
yes,
the opportunities for them to need right in the country there, right?
in the
That
constituency.
that alone will be part of the decision making. Go ahead, Ken.
Well, we spoke about that 100,000 persons, right? That
Yes,
voted, that shifted their vote or didn't vote, didn't show up to vote, and
yeah,
that in itself we should have we should look at that seriously, right? Suman mentioned the laptop and how we creating opportunities for these people, right? We should not just let them leave them in the dark there, but again, seize that opportunity to build on that. And I think we briefly
right,
mentioned that, Dr. Maraj, the
yeah,
last time we spoke about two sessions back about those 100 persons. So yeah, we are taking note of that, and I hope that we continue to build on that success and ensure that those persons get some kind of opportunity, right, to move forward and to come over to shift
yeah,
completely,
right. Because
because
you
that
know
could be
what,
the make
Doctor?
or break again.
Yeah,
In addition to that,
Dr.
we spoke
Rambo
about
was
the
saying
the,
that
the marginal constituencies also. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Dr. Rambo was saying that there's some things that at the ground level they can do. I mean, UNC people can do to improve to improve on the rank. In other words, build your swell at the bottom, at the lower level in the party, not their parliamentary arm. They have their things to do. But he was saying that there was some get customers to come to you, and because he's a UNC and they're UNC, you let them know and you kind of give them some talk and give them some discounts and what this should be done across the board everywhere. That kind of building I'm talking about, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I know, I understand what you're saying. So there's benefits. You get benefits.
Yeah,
Benefits from the membership.
yeah,
Whether it's a discount on the doctor, a discount to see Dr. Rambo, a discount
yeah,
to go to whatever UNC owner business that has,
yeah. Right.
Stores and so on.
Yeah. So whether you're the owner of Fun Splash and give a discount,
Right.
or what's the other one, Harry Water Park, or
Yeah,
Water park.
Harry's,
Yeah.
Harry's.
whatever mechanic shop, whatever, you give
Yeah, the
some
mechanic shop,
benefits.
tire shop, they will limit. Yeah. Like I said, so you have them engaged at that level. That is where the parties are going to win. You will not win from the top. You'll win from the bottom up. You win from the top down. The top down is where the calm down when they are going. The bottom levels, but they have to organize it. Not to say they're not out of it. They have to get it going because they are the top. They have to pass the order around and tell them how to do it and let the people do the groundwork. And therefore, that is what they must be asking the question: how are you all doing down in Barco? How are you all doing down in Komoto? How are you all doing down in San Rafael? Those are the things. You must have a link on all those old places. How are you doing there these days? The Prime Minister must ask occasionally, I find out how you're going. If she can't do it, get somebody to get a feel on what's going on. Mego is well placed. He's the PRO. He's the right guy. So a lot of, not him alone, all of them. Nice minister and everything. But when he had the minister come down to the ground and to see them, see how this girl is doing from Moruga. He's on the ground level and she's also on the up level. She's everywhere. See her in St. Mary's opening a police station. That's in St. Mary's in Moruga. And then she at some point in Port of Spain doing something for some group of ladies, women trying to get something done. That is the kind of thing that they could do. They could be doing as well, but not because they're only at the top, therefore they can't go down at the so-called bottom. I'm just using top as a passing, but doesn't mean that they're at the top. In fact, they should be the biggest servant of all, the ministers. I mean, so I think as we say, I think the bottom line is wrong. It seems that we have to go headlong into what we're doing. Don't do a radical change, but be careful what the draconian, they could paint a picture, the other side, we have to answer them. They will tell you these laws, and there is wrong laws. They're only doing things for to create mischief in society. They're giving us a hard time. They raise the price of liquor. Now they raise the price of offense. The time of, I get occasional ticket. I get occasional speeding ticket. I had to pay double the amount now. Some genuine ticket. The guy has another wiper. His wiper is faulty. They give him a ticket for $100,000 for a wiper. Windshield wiper. All those kind of. If you add them all up, you might say this government is insensitive to our wishes. I would not go to vote for them. I would vote for the other party, and that is what it's really we're trying to deal with from now, so it won't happen really. Because all scientists. You all are scientists. All that the scientists have to deal with the rejecting the null hypothesis. That is what I'm doing. The null hypothesis is the opposite, taking the end, rejecting the part that they will vote for the PNM, not for you. You want to reject that portion. That is why we're doing same things we have to say.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point, Dr. Maharaj. And we also have to remember we have some very crucial marginal constituencies that we have to pay attention to, right?
Yes.
And I like to say, we delivered for everyone, but we have to go a little above and beyond and monitor that success rate there. Get that qualitative data as to what is the level of service being provided now, right? Is it acceptable, right? Because that is important to gather that qualitative data, right? So that the people are saying, hey, giving us a good feedback based on the quality of life, based on the level of service, traffic congestion, flooding, crime, or job opportunities, in there, right? You have to win and win big, and you have to go, in order to achieve that, you have to go a little above and beyond. Especially, we need to emphasize, we need the emphasis on those marginal constituencies, because if you can win a couple of those, that's it,
Yeah.
everything else goes up in vain. So we have to be very, very strategic, and apply that strategy moving forward, right?
I want to encourage you guys. I'm posting the comments for our listeners, so so you could look on
We
on
could
the
respond
screen.
also, right? Yeah, we want to respond also.
But that's I'm encouraging you to respond to the listeners now.
Yes.
So
I can barely read it.
I could
Can
hardly
we-
see that on my
Yeah.
phone, Gary.
oh, okay.
What is this guy saying here?
Oh.
Dr. Margie, you have your laptop or you on your phone?
On the laptop. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing
You
it. I could read it for you all.
Yeah,
Some of
yeah.
the
So you read
exactly-
it. I'm
Go
going
ahead,
to post
Dr.
it.
Mark, read that to me.
Yeah, what they wrote is exactly, and it looks like 100, whatever it is. And then from the moment the ground says to themselves that the UNC is disingenuous to them, they lost the next election. Some talk about the groundswell, not say that they're not genuine, you're disingenuous. They lost the next election. In other words, they're really talking about what we saying about before, which is talking about public opinion. Because what is the ground saying? What are the people at the ground? What are they saying? That's exactly what we're talking about just now. Also, I guess the listener was no doubt tapping into what we're discussing. You got to have that party groundswell to build your base. It cannot be built from the top down. Only the top can set the groundwork. The workers on the ground will have to win the election for you. And this here's another one you have again. UNC never forget the people of TNT are always more inclined to change from UNC to PNM at the polls than from PNM to UNC. The ground got you into office. Every single thing you do as a government must be. And I think they didn't write anymore, they didn't finish. Every single thing you do. Anytime the ground, here's back to the ground, gets disenchanted with the government, they will lose the next election. This vote for UNC was a last attempt by the ground to hold to UNC as the optional government to the PNM. So it is talking about what we're talking about all the time, especially me, talking about the role of the party between election. It is one on the ground level. And I was giving the example of the minister who is from Moruga, but it looks like she's in tune with her party and her constituents. She's ever having some kind of prize and some raffle and something is happening in Moruga. And then she goes into Port of Spain and carries as a minister, do some things up there, back and forth. That is how you win the next election. Never forget where you came from. Some of the ministers that I know from the UNC government in past and even the NAR government, once they win election, that's it. They're done. They're done with you. They come back 5 years after, then you start to see them again. Even office hours they don't have in their offices. I mean, I used to help the NARIMA. I mean, we have a lot of stuff to do between elections. We're very busy. We're fighting among ourselves, or we're fighting against each other because we want to win position. We're fighting against each other. We're fighting against ourselves. But in the end, we know we want our party to win in 5 years' time. So these comments are being made are very helpful to all of us, and we thank the people who are listening and to giving us those kind of useful comments about reminding us that the ground is more important than everything else in terms of winning election. The ground is where you're going to win, because the ground is really whatever. The ground is the people, the voters, the average Joe, the average voter in the country who, when 5 years come, they say, you know what, who shall I vote for? Because they're talking about going back to the UNC is more difficult than going back to the PNM. The PNM have, I mean, I could tell you many stories, but the PNM have a following that you couldn't shake them no matter what. And it's a generational thing. So understand what you're dealing with. You're still a young party, you're still a new party. You're still feeling it out. You still have to go cautiously. That is why, as these people are saying, you have to be on the ground and listen to the ground. Have your ear to the ground and work from there. Everything you take in the Port of Spain has to come from the ground. Port of Spain
But if
ground
you
is very
notice, if
yeah.
if you notice, our ministers, they're fully engaged, you know.
Yeah, I would say yeah. If the little I know, I think I would say yes.
I mean, on you see Jolene John on a Saturday or weekend there. I mean, I've seen several videos. I'll probably
Yes,
post it out on another night. She is
yes,
out there on the ground, walking around, meeting with the people. Khadija is out
yes,
there. Michelle Benjamin is out there. You see them, you know.
yeah,
Vandana Mohit is out there on a weekend sharing fish and whatever resources she could give to the people. You know,
yeah,
um, I mean, Dave Tanko's out there meeting the people. So I do see those videos.
yeah.
And listen, we understand their needs, and we also understand that the government is in a more difficult financial situation. Everybody wants their money now, and it is. I mean, if the prime minister could have waved a magic wand and give everybody their money right now, she would do that. But she also told you that she's going to work towards it. Now, I
Right,
mean, you were promised certain things,
right.
but you wasn't promised it at a blink of an eye, and everybody have to understand that.
No,
And
no,
and
but they
we
have
we
to make
should
them
not.
understand that. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Everybody won't understand that. They have to
Well,
make
that's what
them
I'm saying. We,
understand that.
well, we have to help make. We
Yeah,
have to help make them
right. All of
understand
it. Yeah,
that.
sure, 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 sure.
And so you could take the prime minister. Oh, she say she gonna do this and do that. She didn't say the minute she win the election she gonna do that and do that. She has to now sort out the treasury. She has to find the resources, and they are doing all these things. They're working on the refinery. They're working on trade. I mean, our people is not sitting around. They are working very hard. 7 days a week. These people are fully engaged, whether we know it or not. They might not see everything, published, but they are. While when you think they're not working, they are working. They answer their phone. Michelle Benjamin, just like the prime minister, will respond to me like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, or 1 o'clock.
That's the Moruga lady.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the one I'm referring to. Like she impressed me a whole lot. Yeah, yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So I'm just saying, at the end of the day, when at the night overnight, they will respond to our message. So I mean, they are doing a lot. They have a lot to do, and our team, has to do what we can to support them in whichever way. And we have the party PRO here so in contact with us, so we should be able to collaborate with him and work alongside him and assist him in bringing the necessary information out there. You know. So, Doc,
Yes.
Doc, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that what we must continue to do is to continue to raise issues and talk from our end,
Mhm.
and responses like these, people who are listening to us, and I notice that when I go back, sometimes I replay ourselves, and sometimes the other day I listen to myself, I sound damn good. I mean, normally I don't sound good really, but I
Dr.
thought I
Olisa,
don't know, I was so vibrant. I mean, I'm really getting up my point across. I don't know. Sometimes I kind of happy to some of the words, but I was, I listen to
no,
some of you guys also, but so what I'm saying is that people go back and I see like 297 people will be visiting the site, and I guess they visiting and they'll have like 60 something of them agree with whatever, thumbs up or thumbs down kind of thing. So we do have people
And
who
by
listen
the time
to.
you look to the next day, that number will change because more people are listening and looking
Yeah,
in
yeah,
as
yeah,
you
yeah. You
go.
go longer, it will be
correct,
further. Yeah,
correct,
yeah.
correct.
So I'm particular to now to really put value into the discussion. I would do this here. I would do this anywhere else I go. I would want to make sure the value is added when we're done with the
Mhm.
discussion. What have we achieved today? And I know sometimes you all repeat yourself 1,000 times. Like I hear you all saying the same. Sometimes I know which program I listen to, but sometimes I hear the program you all saying the same thing. We want to. If I were you all, I would keep it to quality and get it across and
Yeah,
repeat
but
it again
sometimes
another
sometimes you
time.
have to reiterate, doctors.
Yeah,
Sometimes it
yeah.
That's
don't
right. Now that's
sink
the
in, so
point
you
I'm
have to
coming to. Yes,
reiterate.
repeat
It has,
several times over, but don't be monotonous. That's what I mean.
no, we change. I think
But
we
go ahead.
change
I don't think I
very
have a problem.
often.
Everybody doing their own thing good. Everything is good
Well,
so far.
a lot of the talking points, is based on what we see the news there. And I
Correct.
believe
Right.
we have to debunk that, right?
Right.
And
Yeah. Yeah. No,
more or
yeah.
less
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
fact check
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Because
I was saying the other day, you remember what I said the other day? We must also do that plus because that is why we are UNC USA. We must bring a new perspective in addition to what is being said. Debunk it also, but also add something, bring something
but you
different
see,
and new.
also Dr.
Mm.
Maraj, when you have
Yes,
a foreign minister talking about the fines and talking about this and that, right?
yes.
And when he made a promise, when he did a newspaper interview and said he's going to fix flooding in 5 years, that takes away a lot of credibility from him, and that has to be
Of course.
highlighted so the
Yeah,
people, the greater audience, knows
listen,
exactly who you're
listen.
dealing with.
Yeah, Ken, those standards are very low. Those standards are nothing to, the standard, that standard is too low to talk about. So we don't even go there.
Well,
But I know what you mean. You could deal with that, yeah. Because we want to win the public opinion. We got to destroy some of them. I agree with you. Sure.
no, of course, but you have to separate the BS from
Yeah.
facts.
Oh, no,
Yep.
you're laid out. You're laid, that is why you're
Yeah.
laid out. You're laid. But I
Yeah,
mean,
you have to counterattack them. You
you're
have
only
to call
laid.
them out on their bullshit.
Right.
And
No,
not
Correct.
you're
only
only
that,
doing
not
that because you want to get where you going with all of this.
we
Because if
see.
we
Well,
can't sit back,
It's a means to an end.
well,
yeah, we can't sit back and allow the PNM to sway public opinion with their propaganda. We
No,
have to
no,
bring the
And
truth.
no. Right.
yes,
correct,
Yeah.
Gary,
correct.
But
and
we got to go
well,
beyond. I'm saying that a plus.
if I may add, sometimes we preempt what is being said. We are forward thinking.
Exactly.
We bring
Yes.
up the points long before we see it
Yes.
sometimes in the
Yes.
newspaper. Just based on the
Yes.
comments alone, we will comment differently and show them
Yeah.
through our
Yeah.
point of view that has been addressed or should be
Yeah.
addressed in this particular
Mm.
way and so on. So I think we are forward thinking on solutions. No? I am
Because
convinced.
yes, because just the other day, Simon, we were saying that the prime minister must come out and use the bullhorn. The way she
Yes.
speak yesterday, I thought she was listening to what we're saying. Who use the damn bullhorn?
Absolutely. Yes. And I know
Yeah.
for a fact, Doc, I don't know if you were in the program that time, Gary, but Gary certainly knows that I recommended that we set up a Ministry of AI and Technology. And the very next week, on the platform in Makoya, she announced a Ministry of AI and Technology. So
Oh,
somewhere along the
excellent.
line, she's listening.
Yep. Yes.
And she sent me an
Yes.
email to congratulate me and so on. I sent an email to Gary on these things. So
Yes. Excellent.
I think we are a little preemptive on certain things. We take it in stride and we offer our opinion going forward. Sometimes before the news break, we can tell
Yes.
them we discuss certain things, and
Yeah.
I think we're in the ball with it.
Yeah. Because
So,
you observed tonight. You observed tonight. I was making that connection between what our party, our government in Trinidad has always been no interference, no this, no that. How come you're asking us now to be in CARICOM and to listen to what CARICOM saying? Trinidad never did it.
Yes, sovereignty, man. We're talking sovereignty here. It's now our
Yes,
turn. We'll do it our way.
absolutely. Mhm.
Yes, I think
Yeah,
so.
but they will try the thing, but we don't want the people to get fooled easily because they have, you see, and here, and this is a final point tonight, really, we should make. They have these people in the grips of ignorance.
Mhm.
That is why they think that the crime, even though even the crime that they're referring to, that they feel that these people are so stupid that they're going to commit more crime because it is doubly priced. Therefore, they're so stupid they'll do a crime again. People know after they will know that the $200 is much more than 100. 2,000 is much more than 1,000. You could preach how
Yeah.
much you want. People will develop a habit to say, you know what?
A few of them will be, we could write them off. We know who they are. But the majority of Trinidadians going to say, boy, we better do that. It's $2,000. No, boy, be
And,
careful. And they will warn each other.
and that's a
Be
good
careful.
point. That's a good point,
Yeah.
Dr. Maraj, because
Yes.
it's based on one man's opinion in a newspaper
Right.
article there, right?
Right.
That's why I took the time to take apart that one
Right.
man's opinion, right?
Right. No, we will.
Take away his
Yeah, we
credibility.
will.
Yeah,
It's not
we have a
it's
one
not
man
the-
here in New York who just tried to sway opinion in the whole country, and we have to counterattack that.
Correct. So it's not the greater population, right? I think once the people see that this is a stringent fine compared to what was imposed last year or whatnot, they will think twice, and they will say, "Hey, you know what? Let me obey the rules and regulation in law here."
Enforcement must take place to curb the lawlessness. People are losing
Yeah.
their lives, and they're
And
losing their lives by high speed, reckless driving, driving intoxicated, and all this has happened in the country because
Yeah.
of failure of proper enforcement and the enforcement in the context of patrolling, sufficient patrolling. We have to remain visible. We have to do everything to deter the intentions of people. And now there's the penalties have stiffened. It has doubled. So the only thing to help make this fine and laws effective is the necessary enforcement, and which is something I want to see.
No.
And
And
also, if I
also,
may add
Gary.
that one thing, Doc, if I may add that I would like to see that the offenders who fail to pay their fine, that they be a separate traffic court for these offenders, that they do not enter the system at number 20,254. That is when their case is going to be called at that time. This should be an expedited system for these things going forward. Like all traffic offenses, like in the US, like in Florida, traffic offenses separate, they do not clog the system. And that is what you want to see as well.
Well, we have a Minister of Justice, we have a Ministry of Justice reinstituted. So that Ministry of Justice, we're building out a lot of things. So within the upcoming year, we should see some other things addition to what's taking place. So we have a Ministry of Justice focusing on these things.
I hope so that all these fines are paid within 30 days or so, and after that there's a penalty on top of the penalty for not paying it on time or taking it to court as they choose. But when they take it to the court, let it be a process that can be expedited, that it does not get locked up in the system with the backlog of cases. That's the point I'm
Right.
making.
Or in addition to what you all are saying, or you have a situation where you have a clerk in the office. What they find, a tail light is $2,000, $100,000. Okay, here's a deal. Work out some kind of deal. Let them come in and set this traffic ticket somehow, whatever, pay a fine and go with your business. Pay $100 and go with your business. So work out some kind of deal and let them go. So because you want to start afresh, because your 10,000 ticket doesn't help you, and you don't want to tell them get up and go for scot-free. You want to have some kind of resolution. So you call them in and say, a clerk doing this thing, not a judge or anybody. A clerk, call them in the office, whoever chief clerk might be. Okay, come in here, deal out, okay, 1,000, okay, pay $100 and go. Go on, $100 and go. Instead of 500 or whatever, that they get out of here. And go on, because you plead guilty, in other words, because the fine is 1/3 of what it would be, or some kind of deal. Like you could get it done because you're trying to get, all you're doing is to clear your backlog, so you could start afresh again and they could deal with all these things. So there are many things they could do. I mean, the government has a lot to do, but they should do some kind of delegation along these lines, because these ideas we are bringing up, maybe they don't have, and they listen to what we're saying, and this is a good thing. So the Minister of Works, the Minister of whoever again, they could say, yes, let's have some night court, let's have some chief clerk, let them call in the people who they have their name, but they call them in and they have a date for hearing, come to an office and they settle this thing. In a matter of a day, you could settle 500 in one office.
Correct.
But also, Dr. Maraj, Ken and Suma, you guys live here in the U.S. You paying your traffic fines online to your local municipality. You don't even have to go to court if you have to pay the fine.
Exactly, and these are initiatives which I want to see adopted by the Ministry of Defense and national security and what have you. But on top of that, Gary, I want these finds to be documented, and this is where the data collection can start, because you may see certain areas, let's say in the southwest, the crime the offense may be, broken taillights. In Victoria, maybe smooth tires. Like different things, so you can get an idea holistically what are the main offenses that have occurred by location, by like geographic location, that is, and how the frequency is occurring and so on. So let's say I'm driving through a flooded area, and I'm giving you an example. If you're driving through a flooded area, sometimes the electrical system can go. You may be unaware of it the next day when you start your car. You're going up the highway, your brake light is not lighting. So now every day I do go and check my brake light. I don't ever check my brake light until somebody tell me, hey, you know what, your left side brake light is lighted. How often do you check your brake light? So you see, these things, by collecting the data, knowing where the person lives, and you can see, hey, you know what, in Barkpore, a lot of guys are being charged for brake slide. You can use discretion where it gives us a better idea to how to plan. Basically, that's what you're doing. So the data you're collecting, you have a good opportunity to start from scratch to collect data on these fines and how many people paying it and how much people are paying it at the end of the 30th day, how many people are delaying it for the next 60 days and so on. There's so much data you can gather from this, so that when the cop stops you next time, or next 2 times they stop you for an offense, they can see, this guy, like they do in the US, this guy has 16 outstanding tickets, offenses that he had paid on yet. What's the deal with you, my man? It has to be data driven, and so that you can plan better. That's the point.
You're absolutely correct, Samad. Has to be data driven.
All right, gentlemen. So we basically cover everything that we need to for tonight.
Yeah,
I think so
we hit it.
for the year.
For tonight, not for the year, for tonight.
For the year, man. Come on.
You done for the year?
You done for the year.
Well, we should have given an update on the murder, the homicides.
No, wait, I think we should
data.
have to open for tomorrow night, maybe. One more night, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Tomorrow is what?
Tonight,
Tomorrow is the 30th.
So what do you guys say? You're partying all last night?
right from tonight, man.
From tonight?
I mean,
Only if only something happen again. I don't think.
Exactly, Mr. Brad. Let's see how things evolve, and and maybe something big could happen.
Unless I think everybody is on a more sedate mode right now.
Yeah.
Politicians, that is, trying to wrap up things.
But you notice we're not hearing anything about radar anymore, right?
No, but it's in Tobago. I listened to a little part of the Tobago politics this evening, and the PNM is still touting that if they come back into power, they're going to scrap the radar and blah blah blah. But again, they have nothing to talk on. Absolutely nothing.
Scrap the radar, open back the border for anything to come in and out, and your family can go missing out of the country, and anybody can bring any amount of illegal guns or drugs, and
And Gary, Gary, also saw Minister Wayne Sturge is launching an investigation onto the drone footage that was published in the Guardian newspaper.
I saw that.
Yeah.
But that should never be an issue. There should be penalties right away. I mean, there are penalties for any sort of activity within 5 miles of an airport.
Well, we gotta get an investigation and report to see what
aerial activities, including flying kites. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
all right, I think we hit we cover all the bases there.
Let's shoot for early
Right.
next year. We'll
Yeah.
see, unless something extraordinary comes up tomorrow.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
right.
All right, everyone. Good night. Thank you for joining
All right,
us.
guys. Have a good
Right,
night.
right.
Right.
Okay.
Take care.
Enjoy everything.
Okay, so on. Take care. Bye.
I wrote the Damadol in the chulha. I have to keep turning it with a simta. Damadol want the choka. I'm making for me dinner. Damadol want the choka. I'm making for me dinner. Pong the Damadol, pong the Damadol, pong it, pong it, pong it, pong it in a bowl. I really feel to eat it. I'm making a big bowl. I really feel to eat it.
Well, it's sure to hit me for the next 5 years. And if it do look sharp, we might get 10. Well, it's sure to hit me for the next 5 years. And if it do look sharp, we might get 10. Well, it's sure to hit me for the next 5 years. And if it do look sharp, we might get 10. Well, it's sure to hit me for the next 5 years. And if it do look sharp, we might get 10.
Feeling right, rock it steady all night. If you vibe, feeling right, rock it steady all night. Pump me up with the music, pump me up with the music, pump me up. गीतों में मस्ती है, इनसे दुनिया चलती है. गीतों में मस्ती है, इनसे दुनिया चलती है. तू ही चल दे और हंसते गाओ जरा. तू ही चल दे और हंसते गाओ जरा. Pararam pa pam pa pam para pararam pa pam pa pam. Pararam pa pam pa pam para pararam pa pam pa pam.